Welcome to Swish and Flick, an all Potter podcast.
Swish and flick. Everyone? Swish and flick.
Hello and welcome to episode 115 of Swish and Flick. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Megan.
I'm Katie.
And I'm a spooky pookie.
And this episode is sponsored by England Wright Nordby. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today we will be discussing the first half of chapter 36 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, The Parting of the Ways. So make sure you've read that chapter and you're ready to swish your way into the details. Before we begin, not begin. Anybody? No?
What?
You want to begin?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get. Megan has 2 weekly profits.
I do. I couldn't pick one. So, first one is that it has been officially confirmed by Universal that Epic Universe will open in 2023. And there are very strong rumors that it will include Fantastic Beasts.
What do you think, though?
Yeah.
But like,
What if
but
they
like
did-
what?
What if they did like
A
a
circus.
safari ride? Oh.
Oh, I was thinking because I bet you they'll do maybe like London and Paris. So there will be like 2 sections. And then in the Paris section, they'll have the circus, like the old timey circus that they
but
had.
that's not
I was
nice
think-
to those animals.
I was thinking the Ministry.
Oh, yeah, I think so
I bet
too.
you it'd be like something like the
They'll do an elevator
the
ride.
takeover thing.
Can I
Break
be?
out of Gringotts. Like I wonder if it'll be something where like the creatures and stuff have taken over the ministry. You know, how cool would that be?
That would be cool.
And they're like all free, and then
You know what it
Newt has
reminds
to
me of?
capture them, or like
do you
wrangle 'em.
remember when we went to Disneyland and we did that Guardians of the Galaxy ride that like used to be Tower of Terror, but then they redid it?
Yeah.
And like the whole premise of that ride was
Monster Breakout, right?
that was the Halloween one. The monsters like took over. I wonder if they'll like kind of copy that.
Can I be honest? 100% right now. I don't want something Fantastic Beasts. I want something Harry Potter.
I know.
I'd have to agree with you. I mean, I'll take what I can get.
I know. Like I feel like there's just so I don't know. Like
But by the time
don't make like I know, but there'll be one more movie out, but there'll also be 2 more movies that are supposed to come out.
we don't know, the second one might be out right after it.
Doubtful, in my opinion. Do you think they're
I
going to
bet
separate
you-
them by 1 year like they used to?
I don't know. It all depends.
Hopefully.
I don't know. At any rate, I want
think-
Harry Potter, not Fantastic Beasts, but that's me.
I think that if this is the way that they want to give us the Ministry of Magic, I'm okay with it. Because the Ministry of Magic is still the Ministry of Magic, regardless of like what characters are in it. And they cannot get Dan, Rupert, or Emma for the life of them to come and do voiceovers. And the fact that they have Eddie Redmayne, Dan Fogler, like everybody there at the studios, and they work with Warner Brothers, and they can say, hey, you need to take a day and record these scenes for Universal, and they're just going to do it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's why they're doing it. If this comes to fruition, it's going to be because they have access to those actors, and those actors can't really say no to it because they're still under contract for filming. I mean, like think about how awful Hermione sounds on the train.
I just wish, like, just come over. Just give us 5 minutes of your time.
Right.
I know.
like, think, too,
and
like-
like Dan super wants nothing to do with it anymore.
Like what Megan's saying though, it's just easier for them. If they're already
Yeah.
filming and they're there.
They're already
They're
going to
already
be
in
in costume. Yeah, they're already all going to have access to that.
Yeah. Like I don't think if this at all, like if the parks had come out while the movies were still coming out like that,
It would
they'd
be
probably
all
just,
Potter.
Yeah, and they probably would have just had Dan and Rupert and Emma do their scenes like
Which
that.
is exactly what they did for Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. That's why Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey includes all those actors, because they filmed that while they were still filming the final movie. So like
I don't get it. I don't know. But that's just me. Like, it's like your start, and you can't
I know.
go over because that's gonna be there for like forever
But
or
they're
like
also,
super long time.
busy, you know. I mean, they are.
Well, Emma is busy. Rupert's not. But Rupert was the only one
Yeah.
that was able to
Yeah,
go and
he
do
came
the
back.
train. He did do it, you know?
Yeah, they just need to
So-
redo it. Anyways,
But I bet you that's why they're choosing potentially Fantastic Beasts. And yeah, I'd rather have Potter. But again, the Ministry is the Ministry. So I'll be cool with it. Because I'm sure that they'll do the ministry.
It doesn't bother me either way.
They've
It's so
talked
magical.
about, like, there have been rumors of them doing the ministry for years. So,
I mean,
if
that's
this
what we
is how
thought. We thought maybe at the beginnings of the
Hagrid.
ride, we didn't know if
Yeah.
that was what that was gonna be. I think we even said in our speculation that it may be ministry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be cool either way. We'll like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess, well, because his ride is kind of like some Beast got out, so we probably won't see that for Fantastic Beasts.
I truly,
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it could be something that's coming up within what we're gonna see. Yeah, something that we haven't
Or
seen
inside
yet.
Newt's suitcase, that would be cool.
That would be so epic.
I'm
You know,
here for
whenever
that.
we did the celebration of Harry Potter and they had that like VR thing that you could
Yeah.
test, and it's actually a game that you can get. Like, it's a part of Sony, maybe. I don't really know, but you can explore Newt's suitcase with like
Yeah.
the VR. It's so cool. And if they like somehow figured out a way to like bring that into a theme park setting, that would be really cool.
Discord saying Department of Mysteries would be really cool if they go in the ministry. It could be like
They
getting
could
out
make
of
it
the
more
rooms.
like
the
the
ride
book.
could be going through the rooms that they went through in the Battle of the Department of Mysteries.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be cool.
It'd be scary
Yeah.
Yes.
because it would be all
Which is
Death
why I
Eaters.
Could be triggering.
Know if they would do that. But they Gringotts has.
Voldemort and Bellatrix.
Yeah. That's true.
My child is screaming.
Um,
I don't think you can
She's so
hear her on the mic, but she's wailing. Tell me some more.
My other weekly profit is the fact that our buddies, because they know who we are,
Right.
Mina Lima just released Harry Potter wrapping paper for Christmas, and it is so cute.
Yeah.
So they released, I think it's 5 or 6 designs.
Pull this up.
And they've got the Marauders map. It's kind of it's the same patterns as the wallpaper.
Oh, yeah.
So the Black Family tree, the newspaper, the books, Marauders map, and then that like blue golden snitch one. But then there's 2 others.
No, it's not as expensive as I anticipated. But I bet there's not a lot on a roll.
But it's probably, how much is it?
$8.
Is
Oh,
it?
wow.
Oh, I think it's £8 though.
It says the dollar sign.
Really? Well, that's interesting. But super cool fact, though, is there are 2 other ones, and they don't look Potter related, but they are from Order of the Phoenix. It's the wrapping paper that the Weasleys used in Order of the Phenix.
Cute.
So you can buy that.
Literally almost made me cry.
It's so
I don't know
cool.
why. I don't know why. I had an emotional reaction to wrapping paper. Okay.
So I don't
It was
know.
weird.
It's going to be that kind of an episode.
It was super weird. I apologize.
Never.
I don't
apologize.
know if you can order it anywhere else besides Mina Lima's website, but right now that is where you can pre-order it on their website, and I think it might only be available. No. I think it's available for pre-order in the U.S. as well.
When does it come out?
I don't know if they gave us a date.
Okay.
Let me view it on Instagram. They've got. Oh God,
says
I hate
buy
how it does
now.
this.
Does it?
Yeah. It says buy now.
Well, this probably
Spirit
like
has
pre-order.
arrived.
Maybe.
I know that it's in their shop in London now. So
Here, I'm on their website. Come on, Internet Highway.
your Christmas starts here,
Pre-order. It's pre-order.
and it is for like anywhere. So that is cool.
I'm down.
$8 if you are over here. I think it was like £5.95. I think that's what it said.
I'm gonna go onto their website and see. Are you on their website?
Yeah, that's what I just looked at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How cute though, Meg. I expect all my presents to be wrapped in Weasley wrapping paper.
Oh, okay. Well, we just decided recently that we're not getting presents for each other on Christmas, so that's gonna be fun.
Buy me the wrapping paper.
And
as a
that's your,
present.
that's your present.
Present. Okay,
Put it under the tree.
Awesome.
that's all I got.
Is it?
Hold on, Tiffany. You have a sparkle in your hair. Just saying.
That's going to prevent me from doing the recap. I put it there on purpose. You don't know. I like to
It's right there
sparkle.
for you to see.
What did I touch that was sparkly?
I don't know.
Probably Alana's clothing. She got sparkle clothes. You may continue.
Well, somebody likes to swap pages.
Sorry.
when it's my turn to read.
I
things.
forgot that you were
Yeah.
looking at it. I was.
You
looking-
forgot that it was Katie's turn.
I forgot that she was looking at the iPad.
Oh.
All right. So last chapter episode, because the episode before this was not a chapter episode.
Correct.
Go look back for more info on that. But so Judy was actually really Barty Crouch Jr. Just pretending to be Mad-Eye Moody. And we hear the whole story thanks to some Veritaserum. And how his mom and him had switched places in Azkaban, how he was kept hidden, how he started fighting the Imperious Curse, and how Voldemort had found out about him. So that all led to another crazy story of how Voldemort, got his body back. So
It's like how Stella got
My
her
body's
groove back.
gone.
I
Voldemort
literally
got
was
his
thinking that.
body back.
My body's gone.
My body's gone.
my body's back.
Any whoosies. I won't lie, guys. I got a little choked up writing my summary.
She did. She was looking at me today and she's like, I'm a little choked up. I'm like, oh, here we go.
It's a sad chapter.
Yes.
The whole end of this stinking book is sad.
Yeah.
It's a sad book,
It
Began and
it's-
end with death.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Frank,
Full circle.
how we miss thee. Cedric, how we miss thee as well.
Yeah.
Dumbledore has McGee look over the bound Crouch Jr. Harry realizes his leg is now throbbing, so they go to Dumbledore's office because Sirius is waiting for him. Harry retells them both what happened that night, and then Fawkes helps to give him some strength and also heals his wounds. And then Harry, Dumbledore, and a big black dog walk down to the hospital wing where Molly, Bill, Ron, and Hermione are waiting for him. And then Harry drinks some potion and finally drifts off to sleep.
That's sleep that he desperately needs.
He doesn't get it yet, unfortunately.
No. All right, so we begin this chapter, and this,
Hold on. Can I just say,
Oh.
with this whole chapter,
yeah.
it's infuriating.
Well, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Denial is
Not good.
denial and admitting when you're wrong
Denial is just a river in Egypt.
is an exceptionally hard thing for people to
Yeah.
overcome.
Yep.
Dumbledore's also a little bit frustrating at times in this chapter.
Well, he's perfect.
Oh,
No, I'm
really?
just kidding. I'm just playing. All right. But this first part here, I wrote, Dumbledore stood up and stared at Junior with a look of disgust on his face. And I'm not sure if we've ever heard of Dumbledore having a look of disgust on his face. So he raises his wand and he puts ropes around Junior, and then he gives out some more directions. So McGonagall is to stay there while Dumbledore takes Harry upstairs, and McGonagall looks sickened by the story that Junior just told. So she's like, they're all just kind of in a kind of shock, but it's like they're like mortified by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just a shocking tale. It's just a disgusting story.
I think too, for Harry, he's never when Voldemort first was in power, and then with his demise and his not death, because obviously he never
Right.
died and he came back. Harry doesn't know what it's like, so they're probably not only disgusted, but they're also terrified because they knew what happened the first time around. They're going to see all these horrible things start happening again because he's back.
Well, it's just like
That's
confirmation with what Dumbledore has said all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even Hagrid knew that Dumbledore thought that Voldemort really wasn't gone.
Yeah.
And now this is just confirming. So, Snape is to tell Madame Pomfrey to come down to the Defense Against the Dark Arts office to get the real Moody some help. And then Snape is to go to the grounds to get Fudge to question Junior. Dumbledore then says that he would be up in the hospital wing in a half an hour to speak to him. So Snape sets off, no questions asked, obviously. He's... Snape does what he's asked to do. And he does it well. You know what I mean? Like, he literally is like Dumbledore's ride or die.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Snape. Obviously, we're not his biggest fans, but he does what he needs to do.
He plays a critical role.
Yeah. So Harry is just now noticing that he's in pain again after all I said excitement, but it's like more of like an adrenaline
Shock.
rush.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that he's shaking. So Harry and Dumbledore were to head off to the office before anything else because Sirius is waiting there. And I said, does this mean that Dumbledore had Sirius come to see Harry after the task? And I said, if so, that's really super cute.
I think so.
You guys think he had him there? Do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought so.
That's sweet.
I mean,
I mean,
thought of it that way
I
before.
I think it's more like, you know, for Harry, like his family are the Weasleys and Sirius, you know,
Yeah,
so he wanted to
absolutely.
make sure that he knew that he had people behind him and support.
where's
Yeah.
Lupin?
You know,
he probably doesn't feel worthy enough to come up.
yes, and he is, but he doesn't himself feel that. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I wonder if he was invited.
I'm sure.
I would hope.
I bet you he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel bad.
He can be a Debbie Downer on himself.
Yeah,
On himself. Yeah, absolutely. So Harry's kind of just going through the motions. He's just like nodding. I'll go along with whatever. He's like completely out of it, and he didn't want to relive what had happened to him. And he said he has to recap with them. Quote, he didn't want to have to examine the memories fresh and sharp as photographs, which kept flashing across his mind. Mad-Eye Moody, inside the trunk. Wormtail, slumped on the ground, cradling his stump of an arm. Voldemort, rising from the steaming cauldron. Cedric, dead. Cedric asking to be returned to his parents. Oof. So he's like, even though he's like trying not to think about these things, he can't help it because he's gotta do it. So Harry, being the amazing kid that he is, he asks where Cedric's parents are. He's completely like not thinking of himself. And as Dumbledore tells him this, his voice shakes for the first time. Dumbledore does not know what it is like to lose a child, but he knows what it's like to lose a loved one. And I said, and this is hitting him hard. I think that he's also hating himself for not seeing this.
For sure.
Yeah. Thinking the death of Cedric was his fault. Losing Cedric is hard for Dumbledore. And Dumbledore strikes me as a perfectionist to an extent, and he knows what he's capable of, and he feels as if like he shoulders this blame. Like he shoulders this death himself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, you know, you hear later on in this chapter because Molly makes sure to tell Harry that it's not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try not to cry.
Go on.
But, you know, really the blame lies with Voldemort. You know, it's
course
not
it
anybody but his fault. So, but we know that
Well, his
Dumbledore
and
holds this.
Wormtail's.
Well, yes.
yeah.
You know, but Dumbledore and Harry are both. We see Harry throughout the rest of his life struggles with this whole ordeal and this particular event. I don't know. It's sad. It's just sad.
Maybe Harry feels it more though, partially because he has a piece of Voldemort inside him.
Feels what? Blame?
Guilt, blame, yeah.
I don't think
Not
Voldemort
that like
feels
Voldemort
guilt,
ever
though.
feels guilt, but like I'm sure that Voldemort knows he's responsible for these things. It like doesn't have to. He doesn't have to feel bad about them, but he definitely knows that it's his fault for.
So
that these things
okay, so
happened.
I get what you're saying. So Harry's part, the soul piece from Voldemort that's in Harry, knows that he's responsible for killing Cedric. So Harry can feel that. It's not a feeling of guilt. It's a feeling
Right.
of knowing that I made this happen.
Yeah, Harry's the
Okay.
one
Yeah,
that
but-
feels guilt.
What
I get
about
what
Cursed
you're
Child?
saying.
Right.
Okay. What?
What about in Cursed Child when he no longer has Voldemort's soul in him and he still goes and visits Cedric's
No,
grave all the
that's
time?
Harry feeling guilt
Yeah.
for him dying. But she's saying that
top of
maybe he feels that part of Voldemort's soul that's like, yeah, I made that happen.
Yeah, but is that something? I wonder if that's something that
It could be
happens.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just a thought.
I mean, I don't know if it happens. I'm just.
Excuse me. Trying to get over cold here. I think all of us are.
Yep.
So if that happens, coughing from time to time. But I get what you're saying. So, but yeah, I just wanted to dive into Dumbledore right there because I feel like he's getting some Ariana flashback feelings. That's trauma that he went through. His voice shakes. That's never happened before. Some crazy stuff has happened to Dumbledore in his lifetime. It's crazy stuff has happened with Dumbledore and Harry during these first 4 years together, and I feel like seeing this, I don't want to call it a weakness because he's feeling human, right? He's not perfect, and it's good to see this. Not that I know a lot of people don't think he's perfect. No, he's not perfect, but seeing him be human in this way is a good thing for Harry to see.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing for the readers to see.
Reading that, I remember reading that for the first time, like, kind of almost makes you understand how unexpected this was. Because, like, in your mind, up until this point, you felt like Dumbledore knew everything. So then, like, to see him show vulnerability right there, you're like, oh, shoot, this is, like, scary.
And that's why he feels so bad, because Dumbledore does know everything that's going on. His guesses are usually correct, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this is not, I wouldn't say it's out of left field, but
it kind of is.
He didn't see this coming. You know what I mean? Because there's been clues, whatever, throughout the year. So it's like, it's out of left, but it's not out of left, because he knew something shady was going on, but he didn't know it was this.
Well, and I wonder too, with, like, in my mind and in my opinion, he probably has, like, PTSD with his sister dying, which
Correct.
Nobody, and I don't even think the three of them that were dueling know exactly what caused her death, but you know that he blames himself, like, 100%. And he probably tries to tuck all of those feelings, because, you know, a lot of times, like, it's just easier to, like, kind of tuck it away and not think about it.
Right.
And then having this happen to him where it was, you know, someone that he was responsible for, because really he's responsible for all of the students at that school, and then plus all of those other kids that, you know, now he's dead as well, and probably brings up all of those thoughts of Ariana and how he couldn't stop this and he wasn't able to stop Cedric's death. And, you know, it's a lot of emotions that he's probably not used to, like, you know, displaying.
He seems to be the bottle it up kind of person.
Yeah. Sad.
It's exceptionally sad.
I just want to clarify something, the thing I was talking about with Harry, because so Vinny in the chat said, when Harry is feeling guilt or remorse, he's completely immune to Voldemort's influence. These feelings are what separates him from Voldemort the most. And that's kind of like exactly what I meant when I said that, is like, it's almost like he holds that burden himself, because, like, he knows that Voldemort did those things, but it's, like, in his mind. And that is exactly what separates Voldemort from Harry, because Harry maybe, this is just like a theory, but Harry may be taking that on, but he is taking it on in a different way than Voldemort is taking it on.
Yeah.
And I think that correlation to Cursed Child, like, it's ingrained in his mind at that point. So it doesn't matter that Voldemort's no longer in his head, because his entire, 7 years that he was most aware of that connection, he was feeling all of that guilt. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even though Voldemort's soul left him in 7, he's still going to carry all of that, because it's just ingrained in his mind at that point.
Well, and Harry's Harry, you know?
Yeah.
Harry feels what Harry feels.
But I just feel like he carries it heavy. I mean, it's hard because Harry thinks that these people, sometimes I think that Harry can be selfish in this sense, and hear me out here. But
I know what you mean.
But most of the time Harry is like, these people are fighting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's like, but they're actually not.
Well,
you know what I mean? And that's partially because he's a teenager, maybe.
Well,
and
I
that's
think
how
because
he's.
Voldemort's number one goal is to kill Harry.
Right.
So that's
is what Harry is seeing. But realistically, like, that for Voldemort, Harry's just like the roadblock that he needs to get rid of to really to get to his full goal. So Harry's just focused on the fact that he wants to kill me. I'm the one that, like, if I die, then all of this could happen. So, like, really, I'm the one, like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to make sure that, like, I get him, and they're fighting for me, and they don't need to, like, I'll just go and fight it for himself.
A teenager.
Well,
that's huge. But I think a lot of the times, yeah, he's just kind of like selfish about the whole situation. And,
Yeah.
And like Carly said in the chat, Ron calls him out on that, and he does absolutely call him out on that. They're not fighting for Harry; they're fighting for the wizarding world.
Yeah,
the
you
bigger
know.
picture,
So
yeah. For the greater good.
And I think that yeah, right.
Well,
and like regardless, this could have been happening regardless of if Harry was even like a thing or not, because Voldemort still would have wanted
Right.
to gain this power.
Could have been Neville.
Yeah. Well, and you
Could've been
even say
Neville.
later on, Neville is like, people die all the time. He's like,
Yeah.
it has nothing, not to say it has nothing to do with Harry, but realistically, it's a bigger picture of everyone deserves to be, you know, respected, and not, you're just because you're different doesn't mean that you're lesser. Basically, celebrate your differences.
Love it. All right. So we find out that Cedric's parents are with Professor Sprout, his head of house, and the person at Hogwarts who knew him best. I don't know what I just said. Best. And I said my heart aches for Sprout too. She's got to be taking this incredibly hard.
Yeah.
So they reach the office door, and Sirius is there. His face is white. Like, yo. And gaunt, just like when he escaped Azkaban.
Excuse me, escaped where?
Azkaban, I'm sorry.
you.
I'm so sorry. He asks Harry if he's okay, and he said he knew something like this was going to happen. And I said, is he a seer?
No.
We also find out that Sirius is also shaking.
He probably just had a gut feeling, you know? Like, do you ever get that where
Yep.
so you know something like bad's gonna happen?
He had the gut feeling and targeted the wrong people.
Yeah.
Like Sirius immediately went to Karkaroff and Snape because he has a vendetta against Snape, you know,
Right,
so he's
yeah.
like automatically going there.
He
But
was on the right trail, kind of.
he was just, you know, his personal feelings got involved there with who he was blaming. But
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
unrealistic in Sirius's eyes how he views Snape and everything. That would probably be who he blames, and that's partially probably why Harry tries to blame Snape for a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't exactly have a good relationship with him. So.
Yeah, Snape's also not a nice guy to Harry, so
Not at all. I said, thankfully for Harry, Dumbledore retells Harry's tale so he doesn't have to. Harry is starting to slip, only half listening to him. His body's aching, and he just wants to sit there and not be disturbed by anyone. I feel that. Not on his level, but I feel that.
I've been there.
And just then, the most quality bird comes swooping in and lands on Harry's knee.
So I find this really interesting that, like, you just say Harry is starting to slip away at this point. He's ready to just not think about it anymore. He wants to sleep and not, like, think about anything. But then Fawkes comes in, and Harry pets Fawkes quietly with his scarlet and gold feathers. And Fawkes blinks peacefully up at him, and there was something comforting about his warm weight. He's like a weighted blanket, guys.
I just absolutely love
my
this
gosh.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
I know.
So
Phoenixes are my favorite magical creature,
They're
and
pretty amazing.
I just love them so much.
I thought I was your favorite magical creature.
You're
You
right.
get some healing tears and you might be.
Katie, get some healing tears.
My tears are magic.
So Dumbledore comes to sit across from Harry, but Harry is avoiding his eyes because he knows exactly what's about to happen, but he doesn't want it to happen. Dumbledore is going to question him and make him relive everything. So, like, he knows a little bit, but he hasn't really been able to go into any details yet with
It's like
Dumbledore.
a necessary evil that has to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately.
I pasted a little link here from WebMD about grieving.
WebMD.
Good old WebMD.
Stay far away from that. For
Everything
symptom
ends
checking.
in cancer. Always.
Everything.
So I just wanted to read a little blurb about grief. So grief is a natural response to losing someone or something that's important to you. You may feel a variety of emotions like sadness or loneliness, and you might experience it for a number of different reasons. Maybe a loved one has died, a relationship has ended, or you lost your job. Other life changes like chronic illness or a move to a new home can also lead to grief. Everyone grieves differently, but if you understand your emotions, take care of yourself, and seek support, you can heal. So there are like steps of grief, and like the first one's denial, and then anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And I'm not really I mean, I guess Harry's not really in denial. He knows that it happened. It's almost like he skipped over what?
He
Yeah.
might be if you consider
Well,
that.
yeah, okay. So it says you may feel shocked or numb, which he definitely feels shocked, but at the same time,
He's not numb to his feelings. So
He's
he knows
not-
he doesn't want to feel like.
But he doesn't even want to think about it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want. Like if it was up to him, he probably would sleep for days. You know what I mean? Not saying that's
I guess
completely
maybe
wrong,
that
but
is
you know, he just
denial.
wants to forget about it.
I've never thought of denial in that way, but that's 100%.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess I was literally just thinking like, well, he's
It
not
didn't
denying
happen.
the
Yeah, you
fact
were
that
thinking
it
the-
happened.
I
the
think
literal,
he's more so denying himself to feel everything because that's
Right.
what he went through is horrific. There's
he-
nothing.
yeah, he
that,
doesn't
there's
wanna
nothing short of
continue.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just horrific.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess at this point he is probably in the first stage of grief, because we do know once we start Order of the Phoenix soon, he definitely gets to anger,
Yeah.
and it goes on from there. So I just wanted to read that a little bit. He says that Dumbledore says that he needs to know everything that happened after Harry touched the port key. And Sirius is pretty harsh and suggests that like it can wait till the morning. Like don't make him do this now. Let him sleep, let him rest. And Harry feels gratitude towards Sirius for saying that. And I said, is this one of the best times that Sirius is actually like a parent figure to him? I'm not saying that it's the best decision, but he literally at this moment in time is just thinking about Harry and isn't
Yeah.
thinking about the big picture.
Yeah.
And I think that for Sirius, that's like a big deal.
Putting it that way, yes.
Yeah.
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 I know that it's not the right decision.
I mean,
because like this is such a big thing. Like
But at
he's
the
got to
same
tell
time,
them.
it's like it's a lose-lose situation. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
Like Harry has to relive it just after it happened, which it's gonna be hard, you know, to talk about it. But in the morning, it's not gonna make it any
It's not
easier.
going to be as clear in the
then
morning
you,
either.
yeah, and you might forget some things that you know you really just
It's kind of like, in my opinion, like
just got to do it.
get it all over with
Yeah.
while it's fresh, and then you can start to heal right
Yeah,
after.
I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders after you get everything out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with Dumbledore later on is like, don't ask him anything, don't talk to him, just let him go to sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Dumbledore even says that too, like that
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt and suck, but it's better to just do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dumbledore leans forward and Harry is unwilling to raise his head to look into his blue eyes. And Dumbledore says, if I thought I could help you by putting you into an enchanted sleep and allowing you to postpone the moment when you would have to think about what has happened tonight, I would do it. But I know better. Numbing the pain for a while will make it worse when you finally feel it. You've shown bravery beyond anything I could have expected of you. I ask you to demonstrate your courage one more time. I ask you to tell us what happened. And I love that at this point, Fawkes lets out one soft, quavering note. And we know that phoenixes have healing powers. And at this moment in time, we really only know those healing powers to revolve around their tears. But I think that they're singing...
And a physical injury.
Right. But I think that their singing must hold healing qualities as well.
Well, if you think about the song that Fox sang as he flew away
Right.
from
It's
Hogwarts
like he was
at
trying
Dumbledore's
to
funeral, he was
heal
trying to heal
everybody.
everybody at the funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So yeah, that's what I thought of whenever I read this. I was like, oh my gosh, and he sang at the funeral.
Don't
So
look at
like
me.
clearly there's a correlation here. So he lets out a soft quavering note and it shivers in the air, and Harry feels as though a drop of hot liquid slipped down his throat into his stomach, warming him and strengthening him.
So phoenixes can heal your physical injuries and your emotional ones.
Yeah.
like
and
that.
I mean, like, obviously he's not healing Harry, but he's giving him strength to
Right.
do what he needs to do right now.
Yeah.
I just want to say I really, really enjoyed the how Dumbledore says to Harry, like, he's like, if there was something I could do, he's like,
Yeah.
it's just going to make it worse. Like, I feel that on a deep level, and I'm trying not to cry.
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I
Well, he's
wipe my tears
honest.
away.
He's honest with him in this moment, you know?
Oh,
Well, but
yeah.
like that's something you can take in now. You know what I mean? Like if you have had someone that has passed away, like it sucks, There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you know, people sometimes self-medicate, and it's not good for you.
Well, it's like I can draw on my personal experience when my grandfather passed away fairly recently, and like it's interesting because when somebody passes away, like say it's like you can say sorry and condolences, and that's fine, and it's appreciated. But literally the only thing that's going to help you is time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you have to feel your feelings and give it time. And
that could be so frustrating.
Yeah.
but like Dumbledore says, if there was something he could do, he would.
Yeah. It's just
but you
hard, you know.
can't.
And like for everyone's different. Like my Grandma Hagen's been dead for 5 years, and I still miss her, and I still wish that she wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Has it really been 5 years? Wow.
Also, like, just grief in general. I think a lot of people struggle with the fact that once you've gone through something that you have to grieve, they want to go back to how they were before, but like you can't.
It's different.
Like you have to find a new normal.
I
Yeah.
literally
Over-
just told my dad that because my dad was having lunch with my grandfather every single day and was taking care of him, and his life kind of revolved around him, you know, as he was declining. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I looked at him and I said, you just have to, it's a new life and a new way forward. He's like, you're right. I was like, just give it time, Dad.
Yeah.
So
It's hard.
I didn't
like-
know we were going to do this tonight. I thought we were going to cry about the book. I didn't think I was going to cry about real life.
No, but like it, like this can be applied to so many things, like
Yeah.
losing somebody,
Losing someone, losing an
having
animal.
a miscarriage, like all types of things people grieve about. And I
Yeah.
know way too many people who that's happened to, and I've had to say that to way too many people, that like there is no going back to how you were before. There is only finding a new normal, whether that's I mean, it's not ever going to be a normal that you would have wished for yourself, but it's a new normal that you have to learn how to cope with. And it just sucks. And like Harry feels this so much all the time throughout all of these books.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why so many people connect to these books who go through, like, who are grieving. People always come back to Potter when they're going through
Yeah.
grief in different ways. And they're like, well, now that I've gone through this, I can relate to Harry even more. Because if you think about it, he's dealing with grief through the entire series. Even in Sorcerer's Stone, he doesn't have his parents anymore. He never got to know who they were. Like, there's always something new in every single book that's added on to how Harry has to deal with something that it pertains to grief.
And I feel like I feel like he actually starts to mourn and grieve his parents in one because he
I
learns
agree.
about them.
Yeah, because
He
I mean,
finally sees what they look like. You know what I mean? And
he sees what they look like. He understands who they really were as people. I mean, his aunt and uncle made him think that they were not good people.
Right.
So yeah, now like an 11-year-old finally gets to begin to grieve his parents who died 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's immediately how the series starts off. And then as we keep going, this is probably one of the biggest starts to him like beginning dealing with grief all over again, because Cedric hits him so hard.
Gosh,
And I
think
think
about
it
the end of next book. We're
surprises-
going to be freaking a disaster.
It surprises, I think it really surprises Harry how much he grieves Cedric,
Well,
because he didn't really know him.
And I
Right.
think this is part of why in the next book at the beginning, there is so much like that no one talked to him really throughout the entire summer. And
Yeah.
he's gone through such a
And this
huge
is what
thing.
It's like
going
solitary confinement.
And that's so much PTSD and no one's talked to him about it. Like my biggest thing is that I've always said with any relationship or anything, communication is key with everything. You're going through something, it helps to talk to people. It helps to just get it out in the open, because 9 times out of 10 someone is going through the same thing or something similar and can relate. So the fact that he doesn't get to really talk to his friends about this, but at the same time, like they might not totally understand, but they could be there for him. And so he's dealt with this the entire summer by himself. Like there's so much, like probably because they're like, oh well, he wasn't that close, so like it probably didn't hit him that much. Like that's not a thing. Like he was there with him, you know. It's emotional when you're with someone and they pass.
And this is where, like, you can get mad at Dumbledore all you want. Somebody could have went and have been at Privet Drive with him. Somebody
Send
could've.
him letters.
Lupin could have freaking stayed in his room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It wasn't okay for him to be alone.
puts fire
You can go
into
back
so
to
much
Privet.
perspective.
You can go back to Privet Drive. Sure, do it because you have to. You need to live.
But every single
But send
person,
somebody there.
every single person in Harry's life knows what he goes back to every summer.
Why did somebody have?
And-
Why did Fig have to be a secret watchover? Why did Dung have to be a secret watchover?
Yeah.
As much as I hate Mundungus Fletcher, he could have talked to Harry.
Yeah.
Who
anybody
who
could've.
cares? Let Harry know that Fig's a squib and she's hanging out and watching over him. He would have had pleasant conversations with her.
Yeah.
In Order of the
And
Phoenix
that's where
solidifies.
that's where I get mad at Dumbledore.
Yeah, in Order of the Phoenix solidifies how much the Dursleys are garbage. Rubbish. I'm sorry. They're rubbish. But like
Do
honestly,
not- do not compare me to them.
like they
Don't
know,
you call them trash?
they know that they know the story of what happened, but yet they just do nothing. And the death of Cedric, Sarah and I had a girl in our year die freshman year in a car accident. It was horrible. It was
Yeah.
But it was like 2 weeks into school.
yes, and that I used this as like a coping method for that because it's very much the same thing. I felt an intense connection to Ma'an, which was her name. I had 2 classes with her. I sat next to her in both of the classes, and I knew
What classes did you
her
have with her.
homeroom and art.
Oh, I was gonna say I also had 2 classes with her, but those are not it.
Interesting.
I had choir and gym.
So I sat next to her every day, and I only knew her for 2 weeks. And the grief that I felt
Yeah.
when she was killed in a car accident, like
We were
I
the
didn't
same
want
age
to
as Harry.
Right. I didn't want to believe that it was true.
Right.
I mean, it's hard. I think when you're kids, like I will never forget the day that I found out, and I didn't really know her that well because we had the same class, like the 2 classes together, but like one was gym, so like you never really talked to the same person.
And it's
'cause you're-
freshman year. You're
and it's
trying to talk
freshman
to
year.
everybody.
And then in choir, she sat on the opposite side because I was in the soprano section. I think she was in the alto, whatever. But there were girls there that they were doing track with her, so they knew her way
they
better
had
because they
camp.
had camp with her.
Yeah.
But when you're 14, you think that you're invincible.
Correct.
And to find out, I was at St. Ignatius. There was a mixer for freshmen, and my
We were
cousin came
there,
up to
but
me.
we weren't friends.
Yeah, how weird is that?
I was also
We were-
there,
and
but I
Katie
didn't
was
know
there,
you
and
guys.
she didn't know
Not-
either of us.
None of us had met each other, but we were all in the same location. And I remember
I was not in attendance at this mixer.
But my cousin came up to me and she's like, she died. And it was almost like I can still remember my whole body, like just chills.
Yeah.
Like, how does a 14-year-old kid just die suddenly? Like, I just saw her yesterday,
I was crying over somebody I knew for 2 weeks. Like when we found out at that mixer, I cried at the mixer and I was like, I don't really even truly know this girl. Like, why am I so? But like,
Well, it's
I
like-
can relate to Harry
Yeah.
on a personal level with this because he knew Cedric better than I knew Ma'an, and I was hit with Ma'an's death horribly hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that he interacted with Cedric for basically an entire school year.
Yeah.
I
2
I
years,
mean,
really.
yeah, I mean, he wasn't friends
that we
with
see
him per se, but like
I mean,
knew
those-
him.
Those kinds of things are
It's tough.
jarring. I mean, my mom's brother died in a car accident when he was 16, and their friends would even say like they still bring it up and talk about him, like,
Yeah.
and there's like a memorial at the high school in my hometown for it, and it's like it doesn't matter, like it will hit you, you know what I mean? Especially like you said, kids think they're invincible, and something like that could never happen to me, but it happens a lot. It happens
Yeah.
all the time.
And side note, she wasn't wearing her seatbelt on the highway, and that is why she died. So please wear your seatbelt in your car.
And my uncle passed away because he was buckled, but they were driving too fast and hit a tree.
It's just sad.
Yeah. So sorry to get so deep and heavy, but that's where we're at the ends of every Potter book anyway. So
It's important stuff to talk about. And if anyone's going through that
Yeah.
kind of grief, you're not alone. Clearly,
Nope.
the four of us right here are talking about stuff that we've been through.
Go and join Swisher support.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people will talk with you about
Yeah.
these things, and it's awesome.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
reach out, talk. Like Sarah said, communication is absolutely
don't-
key to healing. So
You might not feel like you want to talk, but it's always good.
just Harry says that a little bit later. Like once he starts talking, like he doesn't want to stop. It's really hard. It takes everything in him to continue talking, but he knows afterwards he'll feel better.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like freeing.
yeah,
you
once
know?
you get it out, you can probably start your healing process.
Yeah. Like I know, even though I'm the crier of the podcast, like the people that I've lost, even if it makes me cry, like I'll talk about them. And this is kind of sad to my grandmother, but I usually remember things that she hated. I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of her. She hated it.
I do that too. I do that too.
funny.
Hated Les Mis.
You
It
have
was
to
so
make
good.
yourself laugh about
Yeah.
things.
Right.
And that's my coping mechanism for things that are sometimes too much for me is I laugh and I make jokes. So
Yeah.
she would have laughed and then asked me to turn it off.
Okay, so Harry took a deep breath and started talking. And as he's talking, visions are coming into his mind. Everything that he'd seen that night seemed to just rise before his eyes. So he could see the sparkling surface of the revival potion, of the body revival potion. He could see the Death Eaters apparating between the graves as they arrived for the rebirthing of Voldemort.
Vomit. I hate that term.
I know, it's gross.
It's so
Um,
gross. It's so gross.
He could see Cedric's body lying on the ground by the cup. And Sirius almost interrupted once or twice, but Dumbledore could tell and he would stop him. And Harry was glad for that because it was easier for him to just keep going now that he'd started. It was even a relief, like something poisonous was being extracted from him. It was taking all of his determination to keep talking, but he sensed that he would feel better when he finished. And I said, do you think that this is like what a pensieve feels like, but on a greater scale?
Probably. Like a weight.
Ooh, like you can
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
Like
I
you can
enjoy
feel-
that in a very odd way.
Yeah, like almost
I
like
get
you can feel the poison being extracted from your mind if you're trying to get rid of a bad memory, you
Yeah.
know?
Ooh, that would be a
Have
gift
you ever
sometimes.
It's just
partially
like-
swallowed a noodle and pull it back out?
Ew,
of your
Yes.
no.
I totally have.
Oh my god.
Two are gross.
Literally only Sarah and I would have done that.
Jiminy Christmas.
I used to do that
My-
with ramen noodles. I pulled them back.
Oh,
You need
ramen
to
noodles
stop
are
making that motion.
the
You're
best.
a gross person. It's like you're pulling scarves.
Uh-huh. That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right. So
Excuse me.
then Harry mentions Wormtail cutting him with the dagger, and Sirius lets out a vehement exclamation.
What do you think that was?
A curse.
A curse word. So things we can't say.
That sob.
You know, but think too, he's probably even more angry because it's Wormtail.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Super
for
true.
sure. For sure.
He's probably thinking, I want to kill
He's
him.
like, oh God.
You're
now,
dead,
like,
big
not
Wormtail.
only did I miss out on killing you
Right,
those
in the shack.
many years ago, now you've done this to my godson.
Yeah.
You know? So
He still outlives you, Sirius. Sorry.
yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, but the way Wormtail dies
Is worse.
It's satisfying,
way-
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to Sirius, at least Sirius doesn't feel anything.
That we know of.
Well, he just kind of falls.
It's
right?
going to be so sad.
Yeah, for sure. Because it doesn't feel like a death. But okay, I won't talk about that. So Dumbledore stood up so quickly, it startled Harry, and he told Harry to stretch out his arm, and Harry showed him. He said my blood would make him stronger than if he'd used someone else's. He said the protection my mother left me would be in him. He'd have it too. And he was right. He could touch me without hurting himself. He touched my face. There was a fleeting instant where Harry thinks he sees a gleam of triumph
Yeah.
in Dumbledore's eye.
Yeah.
I said, triumph? What is this?
What's this? What's this? It's trying
I
in your
think
eyes.
that was old Dumbledore kind of like, wow, that's brilliant.
Probably.
You know, kind of like, oh, shoot, that's good.
What do you mean?
Like,
Why is it good?
it's good for Voldemort.
Like,
No, it's good for Harry.
Is it?
This
It-
is what I'm trying to figure out. What
it
is the
t-
triumph?
The triumph is that
I knew
the
one of you guys would know.
bond will keep them both alive. So it as long
You
as
think if that-
as long as Voldemort is tied with this bond to Earth, Harry cannot die either. It explains it in 7 at King's Cross again.
So at that moment,
I get you.
Yeah.
so at that
I
moment,
getcha.
Dumbledore realizes
Even if Voldemort kills Harry,
Because he
Both
has
Harry
roasted.
can come back.
correct?
yeah.
Well, he has an inkling. Because Dumbledore does admit in 7 that he wasn't sure.
My main man, Vinny.
Vinny says,
I ain't wrong.
This is Dumbledore.
7 is our favorite, Megan.
This is Dumbledore.
Dumbledore knows that this is it.
I so
Voldemort
wanted this to
majorly
be, like,
effed up. Sorry,
a bad thing.
I'm super
it's a good-
sorry,
no.
honey.
But I also think like he probably also thinks like, yeah, that's a good thing. But he's also like, well, it's pretty brilliant on his part, and he's dumb enough to not realize that it's
like
also great.
It's
for
like
Harry.
giving him a rope into the beyond.
So
Pull him right back in.
Vinny just said, until this moment, Dumbledore legitimately thought Harry had to die to destroy the Horcrux, but now
Yeah.
Harry can survive the destruction of the Horcrux.
Absolutely.
So I might have chills.
You didn't
here's my
remember
question,
them?
though.
Ask
No.
me your 7 questions, friends.
Is
I
it-
literally
here.
didn't remember that.
Is this
Yeah.
because he has Horcruxes that Harry can survive? Because no matter what, if he kills Harry, he's going to survive, like Voldemort. Does that make sense?
It's like like I said, it's like a rope. Like it doesn't matter.
I understand that. So like Harry and Voldemort are dueling, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Nagini's still alive at this point.
Sure thing.
He kills Harry.
Yep.
He Avadas him, but
Yep.
really he's just killing the Horcrux.
Yep.
And Harry comes back. Is that because Voldemort is still alive and Nagini's still alive?
Well, he has the.
That's basically what I'm asking.
Well, it's like a shared protection.
It's because he still has the protection from Lily.
So then how does Voldemort die?
Because all the
Horcruxes are gone.
But he also has protection. Or is it because Harry then
No, no,
negates it by
no.
doing his
Yes.
own protection?
Right. Yes, I
Okay.
do believe that that's it. Because, yes, Voldemort is the only, well, anybody who isn't on Harry's side during that very final moment
Right.
is no longer under the protection that Harry gave
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Y'all, I'm on it. I'll bring it up. Keep going, Meg.
I got chills.
Are they multiplying?
Like legitimately, I was thinking.
Yeah,
He
tell me
has
what your
triumph
thought was.
in his eyes. Is this like old Dumbledore kind of shining through for a moment and being like, "Wow, that's brilliant!" Like, yeah, he can touch him now. You know what I mean?
No, okay.
You know what I was thinking?
I know what you're thinking, but I was wrong, and I love you.
It was wrong, but I'm glad that it was wrong because
yeah.
I was kind of in my mind thinking,
Isn't
like,
that a good connection
jerk.
to 7 though?
Yes.
Don't you like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was listening to another Harry Potter podcast called Alohomora, which actually Shoobs from Potterless was on the most recent episode. It's really good. They're doing the whatever the rebirthing chapter is. And they were talking about how all the books tie in to 4. Like something from every single book ties back to 4. And this is one of those things from 7 that ties in to 4.
What ties it from 6?
I don't know. I haven't listened that far.
Oh, okay.
I haven't finished the episode.
Well, what
Okay.
can we could probably
I
think
think
about
they
that
probably did a
ourselves.
whole episode.
Why
They
don't
called
we
it
do that
a
in the-
ring. They called it ring theory. Sorry.
Why don't we talk about it not in the Felix Files? What's it called at the end of our thing? Lightning bolt round.
I don't know what I do on my podcast.
Have I been here
Yeah.
for 2+ years? I don't know.
No,
Can
you
write
haven't.
that as our own lightning bolt question, please. That's good.
Okay, here we go.
So yeah, no, I'm glad because that for a long time was one of the reasons why I thought I didn't care for Dumbledore sometimes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. So this is King's Cross in Deathly Hallows. Hold on. Okay, so Harry's like, I should have died. I didn't defend myself. I meant to let him kill me. Dumbledore's like, yeah, that's all the difference. And Harry's like, you better explain. And so he goes,
Broski, what you talking about?
pretty much. So he goes, but you already know, said Dumbledore. And he twiddled his thumbs together. I love that. My grandfather used to do that. I let him kill me, said Harry. Didn't I? You did, said Dumbledore, nodding. Go on. He's like excited that there's an exclamation point after that. So the part of his soul that was in me, Dumbledore nodded still more enthusiastically and urging Harry onward, a broad smile of encouragement on his face. Has it gone? Oh, yes, said Dumbledore. Yes, he has destroyed it. Your soul is whole and completely your own, Harry. But then Harry glanced over his shoulder with a small, maimed, Horcruxy kind of creatures
It's
trembling.
like chicken wing.
It's chicken wing. Buffalo wing or Voldemort. What is that, Professor? Something that is beyond either of our helps, said Dumbledore. But if Voldemort used the killing curse, Harry started again, and nobody died for me this time, how can I be alive? I think you know, said Dumbledore. Think back. Remember what he did in his ignorance, in his greed, and his cruelty. Harry thought. He let his gaze drift over his surroundings. If it was indeed a palace in which they sat, it was an odd one, blah, 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 blah. The answer rose to his lips easily without effort. He took my blood, said Harry. Precisely, said Dumbledore. He took your blood and rebuilt his living body with it. Your blood in his veins, Harry. Lily's protection inside both of you. He tethered you to life while he lives. I live while he lives, but I thought it was the other way around. I thought we both had to die. Or is this the same thing? He was distracted by the chicken wing. Are you sure we can't help? There's no possible help. You were the seventh Horcrux, Harry. The Horcrux he never meant to make. He had rendered his soul so unstable that it broke apart when he committed those acts of unspeakable murder, the murder of your parents, the attempted killing of a child. But what escaped from that room was even less than he knew. He left more than his body behind. He left part of himself latched to you, the would-be victim who had survived.
Can you say that last line again?
I'll say the last two. He left more than his body behind. He left part of himself latched to you, the would-be victim who had survived. Harry was the would-be victim.
Got it.
Hold on. Can I just say what stuff Rena Holmes, what's her name?
Yeah.
It's Rena Holmes. She says, I guess Valdi and Harry have the same blood type.
So, question.
He took your blood, believing it would strengthen him. He took it into his body, a tiny part of the enchantment your mother laid upon you when she died for you. His body keeps her sacrifice alive, and while that enchantment survives, so do you, and so does Voldemort's one last hope for himself.
So question, something that I maybe am just not remembering, which is quite possible. It says here that he's tethered to life as long as Voldemort is still alive. So why does Harry stay alive after he kills Voldemort?
Because he's alive. Like, because he was brought back. I think, like, once you're back, like...
Once he decides to make that decision to come back, he's no longer tethered?
So I think maybe... Do you think that Lily's...
Lolly.
Do you think that does the charm... Is it broken when Harry returns?
I think it was broken when he
cast the curse?
Placed it with his own.
So, like, this was one of your lives, and now it's gone, but you're alive. You know what I mean? Like, you gave up, like, your cat, you know?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Meow.
Sure. People are saying things that I want to read.
Okay, Discord, let's go.
I mean, you're not going to be what I said.
However, this moment, Vinny says, however, this moment also explains why Dumbledore changes his behavior in the next book. Now that Harry can survive, Dumbledore goes full-blown protective of Harry because he has to protect Harry until he is ready to face Voldemort and the Horcruxes were destroyed. So I think at this point, Dumbledore does know the order of events that need to happen now. Because Harry and Voldemort can't meet again until all the other Horcruxes are destroyed. In Dumbledore's mind, that's what he's hoping for. That they won't see each other again until Voldy's Horcruxes are
ready to fight. Yeah.
Can you go back?
Well, and I think too, before we talked about like how much Dumbledore had like known, I think right up until this point, we said that he knew like 99%. Now he's 100% sure of what needs to happen and what's going to happen. I think that's where we're at with his knowledge base, you know?
Doesn't Dumbledore admit, though, that he wasn't sure that this would happen? This was what he guessed would happen, and he was happy that he was correct.
What thing? The blood?
The whole, the blood connection.
Well, right now he says his guesses are usually correct, and I think that the triumph was a guess.
Right.
It was a triumphant guess.
Yeah.
Because he
was probably feeling joy.
He was like, "Oh, we took your blood. Oh, snap! Now y'all are linked even further."
Also,
right.
think about the fact that that was a split second homeboy's brilliant. You know what I mean? Like
I
it
love
took him
him.
literally
I love
like
him. I know I just trashed him a little bit this episode, but I love him.
Well, as someone who did his own blood pact.
I mean,
Listen, let's talk about
I want to
packs.
learn more about that. But okay, so Vinny then also says this is why the next book Dumbledore tries to distance himself from Harry to protect him. People protecting Harry everywhere and so on. Unfortunately, the plan backfires and Sirius dies.
Right. Shh, my daughter is sleeping.
Your daughter.
Carly says, so Dumbledore's kind of mirroring Voldemort in this part of the fourth book by leaving Harry partially blind to the information he has. Voldemort leaves his Death Eaters partially blind to his plans.
Well, yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, this is not a good comparison, but like Dumbledore and Voldemort are very similar in their sides of the story. You know what I mean?
The way
So,
they
like,
operate, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
They
feel like
don't trust easily.
Dumbledore tells people what they need to know, but his ace, he doesn't show it.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're absolutely 100% inappropriate.
I didn't say anything.
You don't need to.
Giggled.
But okay,
I
so
giggled.
I'm gonna keep going. Finally, so
8
Harry.
hours later.
8 hours later.
So Harry continues on to tell the rest of the story how Voldemort came out of the cauldron. He was naked. His speech,
With no clothes on.
robe me, Wormtail.
That's from
I don't know.
Rocco's Modern Life.
he
You're
could be a
welcome
never
if you
knew.
got the reference.
That's what I like to think that Voldemort's never knew.
He's got some cutoffs on.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Anyway, so his
Put swim trunks on before he got in the cauldron.
yeah, baby ones.
They had wee little sharks.
Put on a swimmer.
Swim diaper.
Yeah.
A swim
A
dive.
swim diaper.
His speech to the deceased snackers or death daddies.
Stop it.
Death
We're not-
Daddy.
we're not doing that.
Daddies.
That's not going to be a thing.
Favorite thing.
Oh, guys.
I will leave.
If you get that joke, then you listen to the Felix Files. And how he'd given Harry his wand back to duel him. But when he got to the part about the golden
Goodness gracious.
beam of light that connected his and Voldemort's wand, he found his throat obstructed. The memories of what had come out of Voldemort's wand were flooding his mind. Cedric, the old man, Bertha Jorkins, his
Frank.
father, his mother. Though actually it should have been his mother, his father. Right? Somebody called us out for not talking about that in that episode, how it was wrong.
I genuinely.
I don't think it
the order.
I don't think in our books it was. It used
Oh,
to
was
be.
it?
the
It used
original
to be.
one. And honestly, that is a mistake that I really just don't care about.
I agree.
Honestly,
I
God.
genuinely don't care.
They both came out.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But I think it was corrected in.
It was corrected in later books, and we probably all have newer editions, so I'm guessing that that's probably why, because nobody noticed it. I'm reading off of Kindle, which is for sure updated.
Oh,
so.
yeah, 100%.
So Sirius broke the silence here, asking why the wands were connected, and Dumbledore mutters priori incantatem, and Sirius knows of it, but he calls it the reverse spell effect. So the etymology of priori incantatem, a priori means from the earlier, incantatem comes from incanto, which means bewitching, so previous spell, which
Got
I
it.
believe that we've probably
We've
said
talked about
numerous
that.
times
Yeah.
before. So
Yes.
yeah, I just he
Your
found
mouth is like.
it just makes me sad that Harry was like gonna cry when he was talking about this part.
I
but go-
mean,
I
but
mean,
go
it's
ahead.
This is the first time he's seen his parents like
Let's
in person.
go. And
I
they're
know.
talking to him like they're actually there.
Think
Right.
about like too that Sirius is hearing this and he is probably feeling 10,000 different ways. You know what I mean? For Harry, and like then the fact that he's seen.
Yeah, it's traumatizing for him as well.
Yeah.
But yes, it's corrected in this book, so that's probably why we didn't talk about it. Because she comes out first, and then his father's the last one to come out.
Yeah.
because he was killed first.
Right.
Right. That makes sense.
Backwards.
Oh, sadness.
Yellow.
All right. So we find out something pretty important.
Do we?
We do. Harry and Voldemort's wands share cores.
Hello.
They both have a feather from the tail of the same phoenix, but not just any phoenix.
Not
most-
any old phoenix.
The most quality of Phoenix.
Fox, the weighted blanket. And Harry's like amazed. So apparently the second he left the wand shop 4 years ago, Ollivander had written to Dumbledore and was like, hey, the second wand was bought. So imagine Dumbledore thinking about that for a second. Like he knows who has the first one, and now he knows who has the second one. Like clearly this is
Fate.
on this path of fate that can't be touched.
Did we talk about the lore of that? Like, what's the wand lore behind twin cores? Like, is there any? Did he write anything on that?
I don't know if he did, but Dumbledore, doesn't he just say that like they don't like to fight? He says they will not work properly against each other. Because Sirius asks, so what happens when a wand meets its brother? And Dumbledore says they will not work properly against each other. If, however, the owners of the wand force the wands to do battle, a very rare effect will take place. One of the wands will force the other to regurgitate spells it has performed in reverse, the most recent first, and then those which preceded it.
So it's interesting to
How
me,
sad
though.
all of his previous ones were. Avada Kedavra.
But also think about how powerful Harry and that wand are to like
Regurgitate those spells.
from Voldemort. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he's not dueling some like Joe Schmo in the corner. Both of these are powerful wizards.
on the corner.
He's also, let's point out the fact that Harry was dueling just Harry. That was just Harry. There was no lucky happenings. There was nobody there to protect him. Nobody was there to die for him. That was
Wow.
Harry.
Cedric was there.
So I pulled up the lexicon.
No, he wasn't. He was dead by the time he was dueling Voldemort.
So sad.
I pulled up on the lexicon twin wand cores, and it says as well that Dumbledore confirms that more echoes of victims would have appeared if the connection had held. And Harry's Holly wand absorbed power from Voldemort's U wand in the graveyard, and even though the Dark Lord switched to Lucius Malfoy's wand during the Battle of the Seven Potters, the Phoenix Corps still recognized him as a major
That's why it did
threat
the gold
and,
again.
and made the other wand explode.
My
Yeah.
mind just exploded.
Yeah, that's why I did that in the Flight of the Seven Potters.
And then it also says when twin wand cores are used in tandem against a common enemy, their power increases tenfold.
Is that
So
canon
imagine-
that it absorbed power?
Yeah.
Where does that say it in the book?
It says Deathly Hallows.
We'll get to it eventually in 8
something
years.
with Ollivander, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Something with the wand maker.
I like words.
What is PM? What is that from?
Prime Minister. I don't know. Phantom Menace. Harry Potter and the Phantom Menace.
Pottermore. So Pottermore also, R.I.P. Pottermore. I don't know where this is on wizardingworld.com, but it says Chadwick and Webster Boot, the adopted sons of Isolt Sire, founder of Ilvermorny School, each had wands with river serpent horn cores. When the evil witch Gormlaith Gaunt attacked the school, the Boot brothers were able to hold her off for a long time due to the combined magical force of the twin wand
A
cores.
gaunt, you
One
say.
would say
A
that they were
gaunt.
able to give
A
her
gaunt,
the boot.
you say.
Oh my
All right, you make jokes about boots, and we're talking about the gaunts.
right?
Dude,
right.
I want to know that connection. Give me some of that.
We better get more about Ilvermorny, but
Dude,
you know.
for real. Can you write me a novel,
Clearly
please?
a whole history.
We've never
she has
discussed
so
it.
much.
Let's go.
And we know that she's related to the Gaunts because she's a Gaunt.
The founder of the school.
Get Gaunt girl.
I know. I just want to, I just want all of that.
Write a book.
Yeah, seriously. Write a book.
Write a book.
Gaunt girl.
The book about Ilvermorny.
All right, so Sarah went over this real quick, but I'll go over it again.
Sorry.
Okay.
But no, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So Sirius asks what happens when one meets his brother. How does he know that they're brothers? Maybe they're just sisters or siblings. Are they fraternal? Are they identical?
What?
Yes, Katie, I love.
Katie.
Well, maybe because
Oh,
it's
Lord.
Fox a boy. Does he identify as?
I don't know.
You have to think about when Dumbledore talks to him. I don't know if he even says that.
I don't know.
Quality bird.
But then, okay, I would accept that.
What? Quality bird?
Yes, but also brothers.
Okay.
So that's when Dumbledore says why they won't work properly against each other. So then he goes on to guess that some form of Cedric had appeared, and Harry nods. And Sirius says Diggory came back to life, and Dumbledore's like, no spell can reawaken the dead. So we're seeing that reiteration again, like that can happen. Yes.
I wonder if that's like a little bit of foreshadowing to. This is how
The
it could
stone?
connect to 6, because there's a little foreshadowing to the resurrection stone, and no spell, and that really can't bring back the dead either. You know what I mean?
And Genie told us this in Aladdin in what, like 1993?
Right.
I don't know what movie that's from.
I can't bring anyone back to life.
That a pretty picture? I don't like doing it.
But yeah, so that might be a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. I like
When
that.
did Aladdin come out?
I
Is
know that you
1993?
miss your family
I
and
think
your sister,
94.
but don't put that ring on.
3, 4, 2.
You
I
got
got
a
it. I'm
sick
looking it
hand.
up. Oh, I don't want Aladdin's.
You're allergic to the ring.
Carly says 92.
So is Frodo.
So what, I was off a year?
Is it 92?
I'm cracking all these great jokes and no one's listening.
Keeps giving me 2019. That ain't right.
Because that's the new one.
Yeah.
Put like original or animated. I think it is 92 actually, because Little Mermaid's 89.
92.
Nice.
Carly got it.
Did you hear what I said about the ring?
No, I'm sorry.
I was like, Dumbledore's allergic to it. And then I said, so was Frodo.
You are out of your mind. All right, Katie, continue.
I got jokes.
and dance moves, apparently.
Egyptian dance move. So Dumbledore says all that would have happened was a kind of reverse echo. So Harry says that Cedric spoke to him, and Dumbledore says it's basically an echo which retains Cedric's appearance and character. So that makes me think of sort of like when portraits are created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Harry starts listing the others who came out. His throat is still tight. And Dumbledore finishes the sentence for him and confirms that he did see his parents. And Sirius has been with his hand on Harry's shoulder this whole time, but the grip is so tight now it's painful.
Oh, jeez.
Because again, imagine, like we talked about this when Remus saw Harry on the train for the first time. Like think of those kind of thoughts, and then think of later on when they talked in 3 about when Harry heard Lily for the first time, and like Remus goes to like hold his shoulder. Well, here's Sirius having to experience the death of his best friends through their son. That's so sad. I know. It's so sad.
I'm not looking at anybody in the eyes.
Look me in the eyes.
Oh my god, anybody watch Trailer Park Boys?
Because that's what that's from.
I can't stand that show.
Never
so
seen it.
funny.
You and Marty can go and have some fun, then.
It's so crudely funny.
We met Mr. Leahy. It was great.
It was pretty awesome.
R.I.P. He's not with us anymore.
Aw.
Pour one out. So these echoes represent the last murders the one had performed in reverse order, and as Meg points out, they were all murders. Those are all the last spells we see. And Dumbledore asks, yes.
Because we do see this happen in the forest at the beginning of this book, whatever. Whenever Barty Crouch, Amos Diggory
Yes.
does it to
Yes.
the wand, to Harry's wand, and then they see Mors Mordra. What am I trying to say? The dark mark.
Yeah.
The dark mark comes out. So like it would literally show if there were any other spells in between, and there aren't. It's literally all bodies. Which
So like
is
if you
so
said
sad.
like Aloha More, would it show like a door getting unlocked?
Possibly.
Or like
Yeah.
what if you just stirred your tea with your wand? Like
Maybe you'd see a teacup.
just curious.
What if
One
you-
lump or two.
What if you scratched your back with your wand? With a
Wouldn't
spell?
that be great though?
Yeah, no, I'd do it
Yes.
constantly.
That'd be amazing. So Dumbledore asked Harry to tell them what these echoes did, and he explains that they prowled around the edges of that golden web, and how Voldemort seemed to be afraid of them, how James told Harry what to do, and how Cedric had asked him to take his body back.
I wonder what they were saying to him, because it said that they were whispering things to
I
Voldemort that he couldn't hear. I wonder if they were just like completely taunting him and being like, "You're gonna die," because that's his biggest fear.
Probably.
You know what this kind of reminds me of, and I probably should have talked about it during that episode when we discussed that chapter. Did you guys ever watch like the animated Hercules movie?
Yeah.
Where in the end Hades gets not slapped, but like all the souls are like swirling
Yeah,
around and
yeah.
he's in there and they're like grabbing him.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if that's kind of like the feeling like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
I made sure all of these people are here now and now
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
sucking my well, he doesn't have a soul, he's a god, but you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's interesting. It's scary.
Yeah, that's a really good
I like it a lot.
So Harry finally reaches a point where he can't continue. He can't talk anymore. And when he looks up, Sirius had his face in his hands. So again,
jeez.
just
A rough
imagine.
night.
Yeah.
And think about how strong of a person Sirius is. Oh, rough. Yeah, bark,
Oh my
dog.
God.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, what?
I can't with her.
Sorry.
Continue.
Gotta find humor where you can. Da-la-da-da-da-da.
It's doggone terrible.
There are no bones about it.
I was gonna be like, throw me a freaking bone here.
What is that from?
Austin Powers.
Oh, that's right. That was a good impression, but I was like, I know that voice. What is it from? I got it.
Thank you, Megan.
So Fox left Harry's knee at some point in time, and he had fluttered to the floor. And then he puts his head on Harry's injured leg, and he repairs it with a few tears.
Quality stinking bird.
Quality bird.
Fox just loves Harry, and it makes me happy.
I know.
Literally almost made a chicken sound because of this
I think he recognizes that he's like a quality dude, you know?
Yeah.
Quality bird to quality dude.
Teaming up.
Their cores are matching.
Would you say they're broski cores?
Yeah.
'Kay.
As a matter of fact. Well, actually, it's more like father and son.
True.
If Fox is a male. If it's a female, then mother and whatever. It's a wand, so it doesn't really have a gender. It could be a boy wand or a girl wand, or non-gendered because it's not it's an inanimate object.
It could be any gender.
It's a hard word to say.
Inanimate?
Yeah.
Inanimate.
Like in a sea anemone.
An
that's wrong.
anemone.
All right, don't hurt yourself.
Anemone. I live in an anemone.
Continue.
Dumbledore quote. This is going to bring it back down and be sad. So I'll say it again, said Dumbledore. You have shown bravery beyond anything I could have expected of you tonight, Harry. You have shown bravery equal to those who died fighting Voldemort at the height of his powers. You have shouldered a grown wizard's burden and found yourself equal to it. And you have now given us all that we have a right to expect. So then he sends him off to the hospital wing to take a sleeping potion finally, and Sirius says that he does want to stay with him. So when they get to the hospital wing, there's Mrs. Weasley, Bill, Ron, and Hermione, and they're all like harassing Madame Pomfrey. They're like, "Where's Harry? What happened to him?" Like, poor thing, she don't know. And when Mrs. Weasley sees Harry, she kind of lets out this muffled scream, and she just goes to like hug him pretty much. And Dumbledore, he goes between them, and he says, "Molly, please listen to me for a moment. Harry has been through a terrible ordeal tonight. He has just had to relive it for me. What he now needs is sleep and peace and quiet. If he would like you all to stay with him, you may do so, but I do not want you questioning him until he is ready to answer, and certainly not this evening." And then here goes Mrs. Weasley, who turns around on the others and goes, "Did you hear? He needs quiet."
I love her.
I just love this a lot, and this is what was choking me up was like Molly being such a mom.
And I want Sirius to just like curl up in his bed and keep him warm and snug.
Just pet his little soft ears.
That's what I do with Fozzie. He's always Little Spoon. I love when he's Little Spoon because I can just like bury my face in his fur. But sometimes he's Big Spoon and it's a little weird, but he'll put his paw across my hip.
Oh, Teddy's Little Spoon.
You know what's hilarious? The times that I've shared a bed with Fozzie, he likes to put his head on my neck and then I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Foz.
He does that on my
comfortable.
orders.
Ted has like laid like a scarf on me, and his face is literally on my nose. I'm like, okay, I can't breathe. It's cool, but you're not leaving. It's fine. I just won't ever breathe.
Isn't it
again.
funny the way that you like will contort your body just to keep your
yeah.
pet cozy?
I'll be
Yeah.
totally
Pets are the
uncomfortable,
bomb.
and I'm like,
I think-
I can't move.
Like, parents probably do that with their kids too, I'm guessing.
I got kicked in the face this morning and I turned around. And then she was poking my back going, Mommy? And then I had to turn back around. She literally kicked me in the face though. Gosh. And we don't co-sleep for those people who are probably like, you shouldn't sleep in the bed with your baby. I know. But she came in to cuddle. And kicked me in the face.
Tiffany.
Yeah, no. People are out there. They were thinking it immediately.
Oh, I know.
She sleeps in her own bed that she also likes to play in, where she was like, I go night-night, and then you put her in there like she's going to go take a nap, and then she doesn't.
Yeah.
All day.
And then she fools you all day long.
All day. All day. She's been tired since 11, probably just fell asleep for the first time an hour
Also,
ago.
I just want to say I co-slept with my parents for a very long time, and I turned out all right.
I mean, you do your parents.
Yeah.
I only did when I was afraid of thunderstorms, which is every thunderstorm when I was a kid.
Oh, I think my mom was so over me, but I wasn't.
I don't
over
want
her.
to. She kicks. Obviously, she kicks too much. Crazy.
Any whoosies. Madame Pomfrey stares at the dog and was like, what is this? And Dumbledore assures her that he's extremely well trained.
I wish he would have been like, he's house trained.
But I bet that James would disagree.
Yeah, probably.
And the dog is going to be staying with Harry for a while, he tells her. So, you're staying. The dog's staying.
Yeah.
He's a good pooch.
Quality.
Harry was very grateful that Dumbledore told them not to ask him about what happened. He just couldn't stand the thought of telling them again, like just saying it out loud.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to talk to him about it, which is fine. Dumbledore then leaves to talk to Fudge and tells Harry he would like him to remain in the hospital wing until tomorrow. He basically is like, until I can talk to the school, I want you to stay here.
Right.
We see a glimpse. We see a glimpse.
I like glimpse.
We see a glimpse of the real Moody laying in the bed, like next to him or whatever. And his wooden leg and his magical eye were laying on a bedside table. So Harry asks if he is okay, and Pomfrey's like, yeah, he'll be fine. And then once Harry was dressed for bed and he climbed inside, everyone then came around the screen, and they kind of just, pause and they're like staring at him, and he just reassures him. He's like, I'm all right. I'm just tired. And then Molly frets over him with tears in her eyes, smoothing the covers on his bed. And just because I think she needed something to do with her hands, that's her 7th son.
Yeah.
Because his bed covers didn't need to be fixed. And so then Pomfrey gives Harry what she calls a dreamless sleep potion and tells him, you got to drink it all.
I'd love that potion.
I don't know if I would. So, like, they're, like, I mean, I guess, like, in my mind, yeah, I guess, like, it gives them a good quality sleep. But, like, I know in the real world that there are drugs that, like, they'll use in the hospital to get patients to sleep. But it's not a quality sleep, They're still... There's just a difference. Anyways, I Googled it. So on the Wikia, the potion, actually said this in the book, the potion for dreamless sleep. It's a purple medicinal potion that is used to induce drowsiness and if done properly provide a dreamless sleep for the drinker. And so we see, this is the first time he drinks. We'll talk about the fact that he drinks. He doesn't finish it all, and then he wakes up. And then on the lexicon, it pretty much says the same thing. If you drink enough of it, you're going to sleep without dreams. And he talks about when he was given it and all of that stuff. And it says, there's an inconsistency. I guess on Pottermore, the potion was identified as sleeping draught, but when the bottle was collected, it was called potion for dreamless sleep. That's interesting. So back to the chapter. Harry is told that he must drink the entire goblet, but he only takes a few mouthfuls before he becomes drowsy. And it says in the book, his body felt as though it was sinking deeper into the warmth of the feather mattress. Before he could finish the potion, before he could say another word, his exhaustion, that's not a word, his exhaustion had carried him off to sleep. And I'm trying to see, my contacts are blurry. A little while later, Harry wakes up and he's feeling like he really hasn't been asleep that long and that it's still nighttime. And he hears the voices of Molly and Bill. And they're kind of discussing the fact that they can hear shouting in the hall.
Let's go.
And they recognize the voices of McGonagall and Fudge, but they really can't hear what they're fighting about. And Harry also mentions, like, not only are they talking about this, but he can hear them yelling in the hallway.
Let's go.
And then so unnoticed by anyone, and mind you, they're all sitting at his bedside. Like, they only at this point have mentioned that Bill and Molly are still there, but Bill, Molly, Sirius in dog form is still there, and Ron and Hermione are still there.
Yep.
So they're all looking at the hospital wing doors, and they don't notice Harry wake up. He sits up, he puts his glasses on, and then we see Fudge storm in, and Snape and McGonagall are kind of hot on his heels. And it says, I wrote hot on his feels.
Super hot on feels.
Yeah.
Hot fudge.
Ooh. I like to eat you, but not you. I love like a hot fudge
Only
sundae
from
from
Mally's.
Mally's. It's so good. So he demands
want
to know
ice
where
cream.
Dumbledore is, and he's very angry, and he's not being quiet about it. So Molly goes full mama bear, and she's just like, "What are you doing?" And really, like, Pomfrey is not the type of person to have like loud people. You're in a hospital wing. Like, why
Yeah.
are you yelling?
Yeah.
We got people sick. You know
Why
what I
is
mean?
Fudge yelling?
Because he's a loser.
And he just got dunked on.
So Molly is not pleased, and then Dumbledore comes in, and he is also very much not pleased with Fudge. Fudge is what I'm gonna say. Not only is that your name, but that's how I feel about you. Fudge you. So Dumbledore wants to know while they're disturbing these people, and he's even surprised. He's like, "I'm surprised at you, McGonagall." He's even mad at her. He's like, "Because I told you to stand guard over Crouch." But then you see McGonagall very angry, and she's like, "Well, there's no need anymore," and he saw to that. So basically, she was standing guard over Crouch Jr., and Fudge, being the baby that he is, felt for his safety he needed to bring a Dementor to Hogwarts with him. And the second that the Dementor got into that room, went straight to Crouch Jr. and sucked out his soul.
Because that was his job. Its job. That was its job.
It's just so
Fudge
infuriating.
knew that's what was going to happen.
Well, he didn't know that he was going to be in the room. But
True. But
why
still.
are you going into Hogwarts with a Dementor anyway?
Right.
Well, and she's even said, she goes, I'm going to read from the book a little bit. And it says, when we told Mr. Fudge that we had caught, this is Snape speaking, we had caught the Death Eater responsible for tonight's events,
Oh, so
said
he
Death
did know
Eater
going
in a
there.
low voice. He seemed to feel his personal safety was in
okay,
question.
okay.
He insisted on summoning a Dementor to accompany him into the castle. He brought it up to the office where Barty Crouch, and then McGonagall interrupts and says, "I told him you would not agree, Dumbledore." Professor McGonagall fumed. "I told him you would never allow Dementors to set foot inside the castle, but..." And then Fudge, being Fudge, "My dear woman," and woman is italicized. Don't talk to people like that. Thank you. Roared Fudge, who likewise looked angrier than Harry had ever seen him. "As a minister of magic, it is my decision whether I wish to bring protection with me when interviewing a possible dangerous..." But Hermione, Professor McGonagall's voice drowned Fudge's. The moment that thing entered the room, she screamed.
McGonagall screaming.
Can you
Pointing
imagine?
at Fudge, trembling all over. It swooped down on Crouch, and Harry felt a chill in his stomach as Professor McGonagall struggled to find words to describe what had happened.
Well, that's a trauma in front of her.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, nobody
but
needs
also
to see
think
that.
about like
She
how
knows the repercussions of
Yes.
what just happened.
That-
think about how poised she's always been. So this
Yeah.
is him seeing her like
Everything's falling. There's your evidence just down
Yeah.
the toilet.
he did not need her to finish her sentence. He knew what the Dementors must have done. It had administered its fatal kiss is capitalized, to Barty Crouch. It had sucked his soul out through his mouth. He was worse than dead. And then Fudge is like, "I don't see what's the big deal. It's no great loss. Like, whatever." He literally says, by all accounts, he is no loss. And then it goes on to say, Dumbledore says, "But he cannot now give testimony, Cornelius." And I love Dumbledore coming in, first naming this piece of
Talk to him like the
fudge.
child he is.
He was staring hard at Fudge as though seeing him plainly for the first time. He cannot give evidence about why he killed those people. Why he killed them? Well, that's no mystery, is it? Blustered Fudge. He was a raving lunatic from what Minerva and Severus have told me. He seems to have thought he was doing all of this on you-know-whose instructions. Lord Voldemort was giving him instructions, Cornelius, Dumbledore said. Those people's deaths were mere byproducts of a plan to restore Voldemort to full strength again. The plan succeeded. Voldemort has returned to his body.
Is at this moment, is this also when like Molly, Bill, Hermione, and Ron are learning this?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's no other way that they would have heard it.
Right. No
True.
story's been told yet.
And I in my own notes, I said Fudge is flabbergasted by what Dumbledore has just said. And then I capitalized the whole sentence saying, I can't stand Fudge. But he's like, he looked as though someone had just swung a heavy weight into his face. Dazed and blinking, he stared back at Dumbledore as if he couldn't quite believe what he had just heard. And he began to sputter, still goggling or googling. Goggling?
Googling.
But googling is 2 O's.
I don't know.
At Dumbledore. Fudge, you horrible minister. People die because of you. Thank you. Bye.
True is true. Give me some
bolts.
Give me some bolts.
Okay, so I just want to say a lot of people in the Discord are discussing
His house.
his house.
Fudge's house.
I think
He's not
mine was-
smart enough to go to Hogwarts.
Mine was right.
He is not
house of poop.
Slytherin.
No, he's not Slytherin in my
He's
opinion.
way too
I mean,
naive.
okay,
we
let's-
take it as it is.
let's just say we don't know his house. Nothing is canon, so all
No.
this is speculation.
But I truly don't believe he's a Slytherin.
I
He's-
also don't think he's a Slytherin.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Gryffindor like Wormtail.
I would think he's either a Gryffindor or he's either or a Claw.
I don't think I can see him as a Claw.
He's not very wise.
No.
He's not
He's
witty. He's
probably
not creative.
I don't know.
He's nothing like he
Gryffindor.
just
And, like,
he's like a different
Yeah.
version of Wormtail to me.
Yeah,
Because like his bravery, like if you
Like, he
think
could stand up to
about
Dumbledore.
right, like
That's
if,
some bravery.
if you think about Wormtail's quote bravery, it's not the normal definition of bravery, which I think goes true to Fudge as well. He is, I agree, Vinny. He's extremely hot-headed
Yes.
and he's arrogant.
What are you trying to say?
Well, you know, those tend to be.
What are you trying to say?
The
What are you trying to
more
say?
negative side.
Yeah.
we've said how Aries
Everybody,
and
yeah.
Gryffindors can be similar, and we
I don't know
know.
what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I like trophies.
Well, as Aries,
Fudge
fire
sure-
is our sign. You know, it's a fire sign. We're hot-headed, and
Fudge likes to come off like he really knows what he's doing. And he does look up to Dumbledore, but at the same time, he's attacking Dumbledore. So it's like he's just not, he's a bad Griff.
there's people that think he's a mix of both Slytherin and Hufflepuff.
Slytherin and
This is
Puff?
on Stack
I
Exchange.
don't see Hufflepuff at all.
I don't either.
I don't see
Who's he
that.
loyal to besides himself? That's a Slytherin trait.
He's
I think that
loyal to the
sometimes-
ministry in
well-
his eyes. In his mind, he's loyal to the ministry,
is
though,
he?
even though he doesn't.
He's loyal to a fake facade ministry.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But he has this idea of what he wants to believe, and he's loyal to that ideology.
He's probably a Gryffindor. Okay.
I just think that when people, like when someone says like, "Oh, he's a Hufflepuff," like I don't think this, but I think that there are people out there that don't don't dive deep into it like we do, and don't love it like we do. They kind of just see it as what we've learned from like really the movies are like the biggest thing. Like,
like,
not
oh,
everyone's
the
re-
extras are
so
lumped
like
into Hufflepuff.
you know the smart people are in
right?
Ravenclaw, the brave people are in Gryffindor, the evil people are in Slytherin, and then like
Well, that's a fact.
like,
Hufflepuff's everyone
just,
else.
Like the Hufflepuffs are just like people that can get walked on, and like
Sorry.
you know, he can be manipulated into doing
Yeah.
what the rest of the people want. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't say I
again,
don't think that
like-
way.
Look at Wormtail; he can be manipulated.
Yeah, I think that each house has great things and also sad things. Hufflepuff is like the least sad one, though. Really, they even say that there's less death dudes in that house than all the other ones. Death daddies. We're not. I will literally leave. I will get in my car and go home.
Okay, we'll read your part.
That's fine. I can't do it. I can't sing no more sad songs.
All right, give me some bolts,
Bolts.
and not in Frankenstein's neck.
Keen asks, "Is this the saddest part of the series for you?"
No.
No.
No, but it sits up there. I had to text the girls when I read the end of this chapter. Actually, we're not there yet because that's next episode. But I had to text them and I was like, I just finished this chapter and I'm literally trying not to cry.
Yeah.
It's freaking sad.
And
Like
just
it's
comes out of
sad.
Nowhere. Oh my god.
We're about to get fired up.
I
in
think
the next
parts
episode.
of Deathly Hallows are still going to be the saddest.
I think for
parts of the
me, the
series.
saddest thing I've read was Fred's death, and that's going
Yeah.
to just kill me.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what's saddest for me.
As of right now.
but
There are things that are sad in different ways for me, I think. After Harry looks at Snape's memories and he's walking into the forest, and it talks about how I know, I saw that picture, thinking of like his heart and how his body works and how he's never fully appreciated that. That to me was really sad and kind of got me in my feels.
Yeah, like I think that what's great about doing this whole reread is, I know for me, like I don't remember really from 4 on, and 7, like 1, 2, and usually 3 and 7 were the books I read the most. But I like don't retain information anymore. Now that my brain's like gone soft with age, and I don't know. But rereading it and really rereading it as an adult, I'm picking up things because since I first picked this book up, I've gone through so many things in my own life that I'm reading it in a different way and seeing it in a different light and realizing
it's a very different perspective as an adult.
Well, and especially because we're picking it so much apart that we're going through the entire chapter and discussing it. It's like, oh my gosh, like that is sad, or like that was brutal, or I can't believe, like it's just crazy.
This might come across as I don't know if bratty is the right word for it, but I can't discuss Harry Potter with other people now.
Oh, what?
No, like literally, like
besides us.
I mean,
yes.
who else do you talk to besides us about Harry Potter?
So, I mean, I'm not gonna like name names, okay? But like when I'm talking to Harry Potter about people, and they'll try to they'll tell me their opinion on something, and I'll just be like,
oh, I know what you mean.
But this happens, and it's because of this, and blah, and I just go into such detail that they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then and then at that point, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna agree and move on because it's not worth.
Has it happened where they're telling you something that's not true?
Yes,
and
you don't want to correct them,
but you're like, that's not true. But I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh okay, like that's really neat.
Yeah.
Somebody come at me again with the lightning bolt scar has no meaning.
No, it's somebody. Actually, I was recently talking to somebody, and she was telling me how much she likes Snape, and there were things that she was saying that I really wanted to argue about. And I was like, don't argue with somebody about their favorite character. It's fine. Just move on. Just move on.
Yeah. Or I think that when people sometimes, especially if they have no idea who you are, or they might know you, but they don't know you in that aspect.
They don't know that we do a podcast about this, and we're
want to have
surface level discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
and I don't.
My friends will ask me something, they're like, oh wait, you really know? I'm like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
we could have this discussion, but I could literally give you dates.
It's so amusing to me when somebody is I'll go to teaching stuff and PDs, and they'll be like, oh, Harry Potter. I'm like, yeah, me too. And then it's but you don't know.
But you don't know how much I like.
Or when people talk about the movies that are coming out, Fantastic Beasts, and then I'm like, well, it's actually this, and they're like,
yeah,
okay, cool.
People walk away from her going okay, she's excessive.
I didn't ask that.
Your version of extra is super extra.
All right, lightning bolt.
All right. Gabrielle asked, do you think Dumbledore feels remorse and regret about Cedric throughout the rest of his life?
Probably.
Heck yes. I think so. I think anything you experience like that stays with you, no matter who you are.
I was going to say maybe.
That's fine.
You don't think it sticks to him somehow? It's a part,
I'm sure that he thinks about it, but at the end of the day, we know that Dumbledore's end game is for the greater good. And I think partially he might kind of think that this had to happen.
I don't think he dwells on it, but it's still it's still part of his life path. You know what I mean? It's still in there.
I think he is good at hold on. I think he's good at hold on. What is the word? Compartmentalizing. That is a struggle for me to say.
Compartmentalizes his memories and
his feelings and all of those things. I think for what's happened in his past, that he thinks that it's better not to feel so many things.
I agree, because
not
if you
saying
think
that's a good thing.
if you think about it, I mean, like, how much up until this point did he have to do that with Harry?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in his mind, I almost feel like he probably thinks at this moment in time, Cedric's. I mean, this sounds really harsh and bad, and like, don't think that I think this, but he probably thinks that it was for the best that happened, because look at how that changed Harry's fate. And in reality, Dumbledore cares about Harry more. Not that he doesn't care about Cedric, but Harry at this moment is more important to him.
Yes, I think
so.
that
That's what he's focusing.
I think his role, for Dumbledore, Harry's role is more important.
Correct.
Which I hate to say it, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, and this war isn't about Harry, but it is. You know what I mean?
And like, sometimes, it sucks if you think about like a ton of wars that have happened in our history, like that rings true to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of deaths that happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't necessarily know.
Like, I think
if he really feels bad.
I've talked about, how people are a product of their environment, and I think that Harry himself is a product of his. Like, and I think that he was able to, all of the choices that, all the things that have happened to him and the way that he grew up is what made him be the person that was able to go into defeating Dumbledore. He was defeating Dumbledore, defeating Voldemort, being like, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice myself for all of these people, because he was thinking, like, I have to die in order for Voldemort to die. And if that's going to save all of these people, I'm okay with it. And all the things that happened to him, the way he grew up and his friends and how Dumbledore, all of these things that, compounded onto him. That's how he became the Harry that we all know and love.
Right.
Carly asks, what would be in your sleeping draught? Some nice warm tea.
Milky tea.
Milky tea.
I would also probably just have some sleepy time tea with some honey.
But not the kind with spearmint. I don't like that kind.
Yorkshire
You don't like
Gold.
spearmint.
Yorkshire Gold tea with milk and sugar.
I don't like to have caffeine before bed, so a green tea I prefer. Sleepy time has a good tea, or like a lemon and ginger.
I love sleepy time tea.
Or like an orange cinnamon.
That'd be like a good Christmassy, that's like
Twining's
nice
Christmas
holiday.
tea is the bomb.
What was that? There's like some white tea,
winter spice.
Yes, winter spice.
That's good.
Twining's
That's a
winter
good
spice. Oh,
winter tea.
I need to order more of that.
Also lavender. It's good for calming. So just even not specifically to ingest, but to smell around you. That's a good essential oil that'll help relax.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Ooh, Lush has that really nice face wash that has lavender in it.
You can also there's like mist, pillow mist that you can spray on your pillow that you can smell it. You don't want to go too overboard, but a light dusting of some lavender can help you relax and go to sleep. Tiffany, what would be in your sleepy time tea? Except that's not
sleepy time potion.
like that's not the question.
We said sleepy time tea.
Sleepy time tea.
Yeah.
Lots of vodka. Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever makes you sleep.
Ooh, whiskey.
Is there anything that
would
makes
be
you
so
sleep?
warm.
Sleepy time tea. No.
I do enjoy some whiskey, especially when
a tough
I'm
workout. Can you put that in a potion? That makes me tired.
If a hot toddy is the best thing I can have when I'm feeling sick.
I thought you were gonna say feeling blue.
Got the whiskey in there. You got some hot water, some lemon, honey. Honey is good if you are ill. It has antibacterial properties. Don't give it to a child under 1 year old. Thanks.
Okay.
But I love honey.
Honey is yummy. And it never goes
Honey, 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 honey.
bad. Honey, honey, honey.
Ooh, passion fruit juice.
Vinny, I like this. He said, Harry seeing Sirius in dog form after Cedric's death. Is he symbolically the Grim?
Sad, but maybe.
Ooh, probably.
I don't know. It's rough stuff.
Gabrielle says, do you think Harry is on the last stage of grief when he visits Cedric's grave with Albus and Cursed Child?
What's the last stage?
Yeah.
Acceptance?
I like that. It's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
I mean, but think like
Could be.
he really, and what I think the biggest thing that you see throughout, specifically the play, is that what really helps him get through all of that is communicating with his loved ones around him. You know, he finally really opens up to Ginny, and it's literally been years. His kids are grown, basically, you know?
Yeah.
It's just sad it's taken that long, but...
Gabrielle asked, if you could create a potion to alter an emotion, what would it be?
Anxiety.
What did you ask?
If you could make a potion to alter an emotion, what would it be?
Oh, 1,000% anxiety.
Yeah.
I think all of us suffer from
Yeah.
some level.
Yeah. Like,
of
I know
anxiety.
that to be 1,000% honest, like self-medicating, I used to self-medicate myself with my anxiety. I'm much better at it now, not doing that, but...
Yeah. It's
I'd
anxiety.
be like,
tough.
let me have some wine before a family thing, because sometimes my family can be anxiety-inducing, and now sometimes I just don't go.
Sometimes
But
that's
I'm
the
much-
best option. That's
I'm
what
much
I
better for it.
do.
Sometimes
honestly.
you just have to say no, thank
Yeah.
you.
I don't really do any family gatherings at all because I don't want to deal with it.
Well, honestly, nowadays I'm just so busy, I literally don't have time. I think my next free day, we discuss this all the time, my next free day is maybe the weekend before Thanksgiving.
That's bananas.
It might be after that. I
That's
don't
bananas,
know.
man.
Vinny says, green is often a color of evil in the series, as this why Fudge has a lime green bowler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's
100%.
nasty.
1,000%.
I don't think fan story.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I hope I say this last name correctly. This one comes from Karen Olszewski.
That's how I was gonna
That was
say.
good.
All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Karen Olszewski from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a
Holla.
Ravenclaw. My house at Ilvermorny is Thunderbird. Holla.
Holla.
And my Patronus is a Python,
It's pretty
That's
epic.
terrifying, but cool.
which I guess
pretty
is
epic.
appropriate since my husband is in Slytherin. That's cute.
awesome.
I mean, that's a powerful Patronus.
Yeah.
That's like big.
You can see it like crushing a Dementor.
That was literally terrifying.
How cool would that be, though?
Right? Spun up all around.
Right?
Be like,
Someone that's an artist, can you
gotcha.
please draw me a Dementor being squashed by like a
Patronus
Patronus
Python.
python?
Yeah.
That would be so
Lexi.
freaking cool.
Dude, that would be an epic painting.
It would be cool.
Or whatever means you take.
You know, I like my dark stuff.
Yeah.
This may be a little old of a story because next says, congratulations to Tiffany on your little baby Swisher. I'm so happy for you and wish you a happy pregnancy so far.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Get your wrestle you can. I hope your little nugget is treating you well.
Thank you.
She's now not so little anymore.
She's currently
No.
treating me very well. I get kisses all the time.
It's so cute. I love your podcast. I found it when I was on maternity leave with my baby a couple months ago. I developed PPD after giving birth, and your fun and silly commentary has helped me get through my depression. I'm now managing it, and I totally love my baby witch, Sith Alice,
Love
who
it.
is now
Yes.
8 months old. Her daddy loves Star Wars and the dark side.
Oh.
Well, they do have cookies.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a little behind on the episodes, but wanted to write in with my Harry Potter fan story. I was into a guy named Tim when I was in middle school in the early 90s when Harry Potter was getting pretty popular, and he was reading Chamber of Secrets. Since he was reading it and since I loved and still love fantasy books, my dad got me Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber. Now, don't judge me, but I have a bad habit of reading the very last page of any new book I read.
Sounds like someone we know.
Sounds so familiar.
I've ruined quite a few good books for myself, but I love reading how the story gets to the end. So when I
Same
read
here.
the last page of Sorcerer's Stone, I was completely intrigued and confused by names like Hermione and Hagrid and Hogwarts. What the heck were those? So I knew I had to get to the end and figure out what those names and words meant. Needless to say, I was hooked and bought every new book on the day it came out. My favorites are 3 and 5, even with angsty Harry. And my favorite character is Luna. I've reread the series a multiple times as I've gotten older. I have learned to appreciate Harry's journey each time. I appreciate how Miss Rowling has covered so many adult topics in such a respectful and beautiful way.
Preach.
I made the mistake and reread the books during my pregnancy and cried in my cubicle a few times at lunch. Whoops. Thank you again for the laughs and for the in-depth analysis of Harry Potter. Even after multiple rereads, you also point out new things I've never thought of before. Sincerely, Karen. And then they chose not to share Alice on social media, but she did send us a picture of her, and
We
is
feel
Goodness.
special.
so cute.
Goodness gracious, that's a cute
I want an
babe.
updated photo. Right?
Yeah,
Because this is
Karen.
probably over a year ago. For sure over a year ago if you were still pregnant.
We
You'll
have
be
a
all right.
little Snuggle This Muggle onesie,
Yes,
and then
looking at the illustrated
Mhm,
edition.
and she's a little more
Love
grown
it.
up. Oh,
Oh
so
gosh,
cute.
yes! Please send an updated picture. That is one cute babe. Look at all that hair. Ooh.
And thank you for sending in your story.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm sorry you ruined the books for yourself, like Sarah. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not sorry I did.
No, but it is, I guess thinking about it the way that Karen put it, seeing how you get to that end, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like doing a puzzle backwards.
Yeah. I mean, I know for my own personal, like, I get really into my stories that I'm reading, where like I have to take breaks. Like, I get very emotionally involved, so I'll like put a book down. So it helps me, like, say I'm reading like a murder mystery. Like, I need to find out what happened, and then I can calm myself down because I'm like, what's gonna happen? She's gonna die. And it's like, no, you realize like she's gonna survive. She's in like the last thing of the book. And then sometimes people ruin books for me. Like my cousin Colette, when I was reading Hunger Games, I was reading the first book and we were on the way home from Chicago.
Spoiler alert.
And she was like talking about one of the characters in the second book, and I'm like, well, now I know he doesn't die. She goes, what? She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, really? It's okay. I'm like, it doesn't bother me.
Hunger Games is like who doesn't die. Every other book is like who does die.
Right.
Right.
Gosh.
All right. So make sure that you follow Swish on Facebook. We're Swish and Flick Podcast. You can also join our Facebook group, which is awesome, which is just called Swish and Flick Podcast Group. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SwishFlickCast. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/SwishFlickCast. And so you guys understand a little bit of where Patreon goes to. That's basically like how we're able to keep our website running, allow you guys to buy merch on it, and
Keep up with our
keep up with their equipment, keep up with like all of the monthly fees associated with keeping a podcast going, like keeping the podcast out for everybody to listen to. So those are like the big chunks of where the money goes. And then, of course, like as we've stated, we also use it so that we can bring content to you guys. Like we're able to attend these cons that some people aren't fortunate enough to go to, but we can bring it to you in a different way if you're not able to be there, such as LeakyCon. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to Ironton. We've been able to talk about Hagrid's roller coaster because a lot of people from all over the world, who knows when they'll unfortunately be able to get to Orlando, but we can talk to you about it. And
We love
basically,
bringing you guys along.
we just want to create content for you guys, and that is what Patreon goes towards. So just so that you understand what it is and why we do it, that is the basis of it.
Yeah. Like all of the money that we get from Patreon goes back into making this podcast better. Like we don't make
100%.
we ourselves don't make money from it. The podcast
Correct.
to get it to be as best quality and as much fun stuff as we can for you guys, because that's what we are here to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bring fun stuff.
So if you guys like getting that content and you would like to support us, we would super appreciate it. And you can go to patreon.com/SwishFlickCast to join. There are a bunch of different levels that get you a bunch of different things, including access to our Discord channel, access to our monthly hangouts, access to be on the Felix Files with us, the Phoenix Plus box, which goes out twice a year, which gives you exclusive merchandise. There are at least 2 or 3 items of box only, like Phoenix Plus box only merchandise. That's the only way to get it in those boxes twice a year. I'm excited for January's box. It's a funny theme. I'm not going to tell anybody like clues at all, but it's just, if you are a fan of the pod, which I'm assuming if you're a Phoenix Plus patron, you are a huge fan of the pod, you will appreciate it and understand it because it's an inside joke, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Like, well, for the first box, everyone got you're a
Seer Harry shirt.
Yes. And then my
You're
sister
welcome.
made koozies for everyone. And if you don't know what a koozie is, it's like a little sleeve for your beverages, your drinks. and it was in your house colors, and she does.
It was like a
blue and
sweater.
bronze.
Sweater.
It was like a Weasley sweater, but
Yeah.
not. It just was like a koozie. Didn't have like arms or anything, and it had your initial on it. So she handmade all of those for everyone, and I don't remember what else was in the box.
They got
They
the
got
very first
pins.
enamel pins.
Yes.
Oh yes, yeah.
They were the first people to get the enamel pins before we put those on the website. A special print, the Patreon logo print,
Yeah.
and I think that was it.
Hey,
But-
we need your designs for the house shirts. We need some house shirts, Kate.
I
They're
put
on
them
the
on there.
website.
They're on there.
They're on there.
Where the heck's my lion?
Yeah,
We
if you
haven't
guys
ordered merch yet lately.
Want some cool, and if you want a blue and bronze shirt, it's on our website. That's an
Of an
eagle head.
eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go get 'em.
Also, since we are coming up upon the holidays, the way that our website works with merchandise is everything except the enamel pins, stickers, buttons. Everything besides those three things is printed to order. So it takes a little bit to ship. So even though like it may tell you like 4 days or whatever with the shipping that you choose, it takes about a week total because they have to print it, and then once it's printed they ship it, and then it takes like 4 days to get to you. So just keep that in mind if you're purchasing something for the holidays. You want to give yourself a buffer, especially because like those places get crammed at the holidays as well. Just like every other store, they get backed up. Sometimes it takes longer to get stuff out.
Right, and this is coming out November 3rd, it said.
Right.
So I would do it now.
I would recommend if you want to order things for the holidays to do it like
Within the
by
next couple
the
weeks.
by the first week of December.
Sooner
Yeah.
rather than later.
Yeah.
And we have no control over like any of the shipping and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
Just so
third
you know.
party, just so that like you guys understand that. So just the sooner the better, just to be in the clear and safe in terms of like getting it for Christmas. But I will say, if you order enamel pins, stickers, buttons, we do have control over that, and I will be diligent for the months of November and December to get them out efficiently and quickly so that people get them for the holidays. And also, I'm going to add our Swish and Flick logo shirts that we bought for the Wizardly World of Kent.
Oh, yeah.
So that I can also control shipping at least one type of shirt. So if somebody wants that shirt, we will ship those out as well.
Limited
But,
amount.
yeah, there's only so many. But I'll put those up on the website ASAP so that you can buy them.
Yep.
And then lastly, in my social media spiel of 25 minutes long, you can find all of our merchandise and all of this information on swishflickcast.com. I also added the Harry or You're a Seer Harry sticker to our website, and I changed stickers to $3 a piece or 2 for $5. So if you buy 2, it will take the money off at checkout.
Okay.
So you don't need a code or anything. You just put 2 stickers in your cart and it'll like take off $1. And yeah, we have our lightning bolt pride stickers, Harry or You're a Seer Harry, and logo stickers.
I have the lightning bolt on my phone.
As do I.
As does Nessa.
Yes.
Yup.
All right. What have I been doing lately? Teaching. I think I say that every episode except the summer ones. Obviously. No, just hanging out with Miss Lady Supreme. What have I been doing lately?
Boston.
Yeah, I went to Boston. What have I been doing?
Making Order of the Phoenix docs.
I've been sick. Well, I only got to 1.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. No, starting to make the new docs for Order of the Phoenix was just crazy weird. I'm not
I'm
gonna
wondering
lie.
when we're actually going to end up starting Order of the Phoenix.
I don't
though.
know, we
For
have
the
a-
holidays. I was
We
thinking
have
that
so
too. We
much
should-
to get through.
We should wait to start Order till after our little holiday break.
Our break,
Holidays.
our holiday.
Because you don't want to do one episode of Order and then like do random stuff for 2 weeks and then
True
go back
is
to it,
true.
so.
Yeah. So just so you guys do know, we're gonna do it again this year, where we take like a mini break from like chapter episodes in
Right.
December and do. You'll still get an episode each week from us, but it's not
Not
gonna
a
be
chapter,
different. It's
yeah.
gonna be different because that's cool.
Because we need a break too. December's just too busy. Straight up.
It's so busy.
Straight up. It's just too busy. Literally can't think of what I've been doing. I've been working out.
You were sick.
You've
I
been
was sick. I've been sick for like 2 weeks.
We've all been sick ever since Boston.
I felt
was
fine
the
like
last
by
one to get it.
the Friday after we came back.
Literally Sunday night we were flying home and I felt it in my throat when we were at the airport and I was like, I'm getting a sick. And then by the time
I'm getting sick.
I'm getting sick.
A-sick.
And then by the time we got back to Cleveland, I had a cold. The next morning I felt awful. Went to work, pushed through. Tuesday morning, woke up and felt dead and called in from work for the first time in a while and literally slept all day.
Yeah.
My throat was so swollen on Monday. I think really from like everything was crazy dry and I talked a lot that whole weekend and I just didn't feel great.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't swallow my meds that morning. I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going
All those-
around
bad.
everywhere. Everybody at my work has gotten it. Both of my parents got it. Like everywhere.
Hold on. I'll tell you what I've been doing. I actually finished a book on Audible. So I just finished listening to Dooku Jedi Lost not too long ago. I don't think I got to say that on the pod. Great book. I recommend it. I started listening to Thrawn.
Wait, is Dooku the one with all the voices?
Yes, it is the
It was
like
hard
the
for
whole
me
cast.
to follow.
Oh, so good. It's a little interesting at first because it's not like a regular audio book because it's like a
It's a cool
it's
audio
like a
book.
show, like, but you can't see it. You just
Nobody
hear
got
everybody's
that
voices
reference.
and sound effects. I started listening to Aloha Mora again, which is another Harry Potter podcast, and I started listening to Office Ladies, which
I want
is
to.
it's so good. So it's Jenna and Angela from The Office. So Jenna played Pam and Angela played Angela. And they talk about it's like they're doing a rewatch like you guys are doing with Friends. And so they talk about like behind the scenes stuff. Like they just started this like a couple of weeks ago. So I think they only have 2 episodes out right now. Awesome. It's really good.
I never watched The Office, so I won't be listening to that.
Oh gosh, it's so stinking good.
Oh my god, I love The Office.
And that I said I'm reading Thrawn right now. And just kind of momming and wifing and got a lot of weddings and just,
Is this your last one for the season?
yes. And I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I did not go to a single wedding this year and it was great.
I'll probably have 2 next year, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we will.
We at least
one.
have 1, I should say that.
Yes. Keelan, yeah. So that's me.
Me and Meg have been doing a lot of design work.
We have been doing a lot of design work, some wedding invitations, some wedding posters, some potentially a graduation cap, which is kind of a different type of
What? That's
project
awesome.
that somebody asked us to do. So that's kind of cool. We're going to be spending November and December painting a lot of signs for a wedding, specifically a Harry Potter themed wedding, which I'm super excited about. But that's going to be fun. We're like helping decorate a wedding, which was a super random job and not something I was expecting to get, but it's cool. And also, a lot of people have been asking this in the group and messaging us because they can't find Katie and mine's Friends podcast. Because the last time we talked about it, we told you that it was called Friends Talking Friends. However, we had to change the name of it to Friends Watching Friends. We didn't know this until after we launched, but there was another podcast called Friends Talking Friends. And some of their listeners got angry at us and left us bad reviews. We didn't mean to step on anybody's toes. And they asked us to change our name. And being a part of the podcast world, I totally understand where they're coming from, because if somebody else started a Harry Potter podcast named Swish and Flick, I would be pretty annoyed too. So we decided to change it to Friends Watching Friends, since I am I am watching it for the first time. So it is very much about watching the shows. The episodes. So if you can't find it, it's because we're now called Friends Watching Friends. So search that, and we are still everywhere that we were before. So like Apple, Podbean, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, like all of the big hitters. Friends Watching Friends is on there. The logo does still say Friends Talking Friends because we haven't had time to change it yet, but the title and everything is Friends Watching Friends. And you can, like, in the description it says 3 friends are talking about friends or whatever. That's like the description. So yeah, but thank you for everybody in Swish who has listened to that podcast. there have been so many of you. So that's awesome. And thank you. I'm liking it. Ross is still my favorite right now.
What have you seen so far?
We are on we just did episode 6.
The one with the butt.
The one with the butt.
The butt.
Joey.
Yeah, where Joey is the butt model.
Fired.
Yeah, and then he gets
Oh, because of the shower?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What? You were clenching.
So yeah, that's funny. Though that episode did up Chandler for me a little bit. I like Chandler a lot more.
Just wait. Just think and wait.
Hands down, because I am Chandler.
Chandler's so good.
He's simply the best.
I'm excited. Well, honestly,
He's
like
simply the
up
best.
until this episode, there wasn't really a whole lot on Chandler in any of the episodes, which is why he didn't really have a ranking for me at all, because I didn't really know much about his character. So like that second episode is like all Ross, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, I like him. He's just like very.
I'm sitting
I
here.
will say it'll be interesting.
I'm sitting here.
There's specific points that I don't hate any of the characters. I just have my favorites. But there are points in each character that I'm like, that's not quite right.
That's what makes him so real.
Yeah.
That is what makes him real, I think. Yeah.
But it's there. You're gonna. I just am interested to hear what you're gonna say about some things that he says.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I based on some conversations that have happened in the Friends Watching Friends group,
It didn't age well.
Correct.
I don't know if I'm going to continue liking Ross based on some things that I've heard, but I don't know the context of them and anything.
Just watch it. Just
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
Nobody better
So we shall
spoil
see.
that for them, or I'll be dead.
This is kind of a little like insider thing to the discussion that we have on the episode that is recently going to come out. But so I always like hypothesize every episode, and I always say that like I know that Ross and Rachel get together, but I don't know how or the context of it, or like if they're on and off, which I think that they probably would be, and I have no idea like anything about any of the others. And then I liked the one hypothesis that I made where I said that I bet Chandler and Phoebe get together at some point, because Phoebe and him are in an episode where they break up together, and I was like, how funny would it be if like they like each break up with their significant others? And I was like, how?
Up, right? She ends up breaking up for him.
Yes. In that episode, it's Janice or
Is it
whatever.
Janice?
Yeah.
Janice.
So,
Chandler Bing.
I was like, how funny would it be? Because like they then say like, oh, I never want to break up like by myself again. And I was like, well, if they get together and then like they break up, they would still do it together. So
I'm excited for you to see Chandler.
Being Chandler.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what about Chandler and Monica? I don't know. Could happen.
Why do you think they all had to be together? Like within.
I know that's. And then Chrissy was
6
like,
of 'em.
there could be outside people, and I'm like, yeah, but like it would just like mesh well. And I was like, what if it's Chandler and Monica, and then Joey and Phoebe? Like, who would think that they would go together? I don't know.
I can't talk to you about this. 'Cause my face. All right. That was you two, since you two are the same person, right?
Oh. Well, I have something else.
Oh my gosh!
Jesus,
Of course,
it's
Megan has
almost
something
10
else for
o'clock.
you. What? How? I want to see how long we've been going.
What have you been doing?
I'm just gonna say that I want to tell people
It's a stupid one,
if they want to order scarves from my mom. She's like, tell people if they want scarves that I can guarantee them by Christmas if they order them 2 weeks before Christmas.
Jeez.
But what if she gets like 8 orders?
No, hold on. I'm sorry.
What are you talking? What?
3 weeks. It was 3 weeks before Christmas. She's like, if you order it by 3 weeks to Christmas, she can get them out to ship for Christmas.
Doesn't she not like making scarves?
She loves making scarves.
What does she not like to make?
Blankets?
Sweaters. She can't do it. They fall apart. She has troubles. So
it reminds me of, what is that, Happy Gilmore, where the old ladies are like knitting and she's like, my fingers hurt. And he's like, well, now your back's going to hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. So bad. Do you have anything to add, Catherine?
I'll just ask for good vibes because this upcoming week, which will have passed by now, is going to be very challenging at work. So
Yeah, Katie needs some good vibes.
Those are my good vibes.
Changes.
I'll
Changes
hold
at
you a
work
little
are the
bit if you want me to.
worst.
Okay.
I almost had changes. I almost quit my job. But then I said, no, thank you.
Whoa.
I mean, obviously, I would have quit for another job, but whatever.
Okay.
My life. I'm not really doing anything besides school, which is going fine. But I want to talk to you about a book I'm reading. I will say, and he mentions this at the beginning of it, it's Jonathan Van Ness's
Oh, yeah.
book called Over the Top.
Ooh, do you like
there
it?
are some things that
Yeah.
there's trigger warnings for it and all of that, but it tells me 33% into it so far, because obviously I don't have a crazy amount of time to read in my spare time, but it's so good.
I downloaded it on my Kindle. I want to read it.
And if you like him, you'll like the book. There's some parts of it where like I'm laughing out loud, and then there's some parts where like
Crying.
it's sad. You know, there's some things that's happened to him.
Yeah, I read some stuff she shared with me on the plane.
Yeah. So, I really enjoy it, and yeah, as always, you can send me your book recommendations.
Yeah.
I just don't have a crazy amount of time to read.
Send me your Star Wars book recommendations. I want to read more Star Wars books. Although I just started the Thrawn trilogy, so it'll be a little while for me.
I still want Brit chick lit suggestions. Okay, thanks. I've been getting a ton, and it's awesome. And I will share everything that people have suggested to me because somebody asked me to do that. So
Sweet sauce.
But yeah, other than that, it'll be a week now, but from the date we're recording, we're having a Halloween party. And then Halloween, and then it's November, which means it's almost December, and I won't buy Christmas presents until the 20th.
Do you know
Of
what I
December.
forgot to tell you? It was new in my life.
What?
It's a big deal.
Star Wars?
We're getting a new kitchen floor.
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
It's a huge deal.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and they're doing the front by the door. They're doing the landing to the stairs, the basement steps, and a little bit on the side of the basement steps.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so that's something that was very big and new.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's pretty much our lives, you know?
Thanks for caring about us personally.
Yeah.
And if you've turned this off, that's fine, because you can't hear me saying this.
I think this has been an all over the place episode.
And we,
honest to God,
the
we're-
next one is
let me
gonna
tell
be
ya,
even worse.
we're gonna get heated, because I'm already mad at Fudge. Are you
Oh,
ready to?
gosh.
You ready to end this?
Yeah.
Is it for Voldemort and Valor, or
Against it?
Not anymore.
okay? Let's do this. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and don't let the muggles get you down.
Amazing! Just with my voice.